This is a special presentation from the Brighton Central School District Board of Education.
And welcome everyone to the Brighton Central School District Board of Education business meeting and tenure recognition this evening. One of our favorite meetings of the year and a great celebration for June 15th, 2021. Please take note that the Board of Education of the Brighton Central School District, in response to the continuing emergency circumstances caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, consistent with the New York State Governor's executive orders, will conduct its scheduled public business meeting tonight, June 15, 2021, via Zoom and stream through the district website. Any members of the public wishing to offer public comments during our public participation section will be allowed to do so by participation in the video and Zoom teleconference. So if you wish to participate when we get to public participation this evening, and you are a resident of the Brighton School District, please use the chat feature at the bottom of your screen, enter your name and your address, and we will call on you. I will tell you that tonight's meeting is a little different, so the order is a little different. We will be beginning momentarily with tenure, approval, and recognition. So public participation this evening will be after we finish that portion of our festivities. So, but if you wish to address the board during public comment, please enter your name and your address in the chat feature, and we will call on you when we come to public participation. Additionally, you're always welcome to contact us directly through the email system. All of our email addresses are on the website. You can call us. You can directly contact Dr. McGovern or me, and we will answer your question or provide any further information that you desire. So, moving along this evening, board members, may I please have a motion to approve our agenda for tonight?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Larry and seconded by Karen, was that? Okay, seconded by Karen. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. So then also please, a motion please for approval of the minutes from the May 25th, 2021 business meeting.
So moved. Second.
All right, that was Andrea made the motion.
It was me, Mark. Sue.
Okay, Sue made the motion, and who made this? Andrea made the second. Does anyone have any corrections, additions, deletions to those minutes that Kim hasn't already been made aware of? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Then that is approved also. Thank you very much. Then for our tenure recommendations and tenure recognition this evening, first the board will act on the approval for our tenure recommendations and approve that. And then we will move toward Dr. McGovern and others presenting everybody with their certificate and their background information. Correct, Dr. McGovern?
That is correct.
Okay. Then please, may I have a motion, please, for approval of the administrator, teacher, and teaching assistant tenure recommendations as outlined in item number 3 of our agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Karen and seconded by Julene. I'm assuming no one has any comment or question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion is passed and tenure is approved for all those fine folks listed under Roman numeral 3 on our agenda this evening, and we will hear about them and recognize them individually beginning now. Dr. McGovern?
Thank you very much, Mr. Kakanovich. I'd like to begin by recognizing Dr. Allison Rio. Her kindness, wit, genuine care for each individual, and ability to create followership as a leader are some of the ways she has demonstrated excellence as a school leader. She began working at FRES 3 years ago, and she immediately set about shifting culture. She was focused on joy, engagement, genuine care for the individual. She painted slogans on the walls, developed incentive programs, and did everything she could to brighten everyone's days. Her enthusiasm and positivity have been nothing short of infectious. Parents and children alike enjoy every moment they spend with her. She's enjoyable and humble. She makes people want to be at Frez and creates a joyous environment each day. Whether she's standing by the door dancing as children arrive, running a morning announcement program where she demonstrates an exercise, or she's going door to door with an unexpected treat for teachers, she's completely committed to making every moment special at Frez. She's also demonstrated tremendous intellectual and leadership capacity as an expert in her curricular area. She helps staff improve as well and commits to an environment of continuous improvement. The children and staff that she works with love her deeply. They know that she cares. She treats every child like hers and every adult like a family member. Parents enjoy positive relationships and an open door policy with Allison because of, again, her receptivity and thoughtfulness. For this and so many other reasons, I wish to congratulate Dr. Allison Rio on her tenure appointment. Matt Coma is also being recommended for tenure this evening, and of course it was just approved, I should rephrase. Has exhibited compassion, professionalism, integrity, and kindness. He's a caring and dedicated professional. As a committed educator, he has a unique combination of experiences that include teaching math to students at the high school level, being an administrator for elementary school age children, coaching students in baseball, creating the master exam schedule for the high school, organizing the annual awards ceremony, and oversees a variety of departments, most recently taking on the role as the master schedule builder. He's highly collaborative with school personnel, extremely reflective in his work. He is thoughtful, collaborative, and a wonderful person for everybody to work with as a teammate. He's truly an asset to BHS and the Brighton School District, exemplifies our motto of caring for excellence in his daily work with kids, parents, and staff. He's become an outstanding assistant principal, colleague, professional, and friend. Congratulations to Matt Coma on his tenure appointment. Tammy Angelo is being recommended as well for a tenure appointment. She has worked as an elementary music teacher in the Central Square School District. She has a teaching assistant certification and been a teaching assistant for us since 2017 with a degree in music education from Roberts Wesleyan College. As Dr. Rio has pointed out, she's a real asset to the Frez community. A third grade teacher, Wendy Romano, who has worked with Tammy since she started, shared that Tammy can jump into a situation and react professionally and appropriately with all students who are part of the school community. She is a hard worker and very reliable. She works well with the children and has a calming effect on them. Each day, Tammy demonstrates flexibility to accommodate the needs of the students that she works with. She continues to develop her understanding of the strategies needed with special education to support each child. She's kind, respectful, and always comes to work ready to jump right in and assist students. We are proud and honored for her tenure appointment. Please join me in congratulating Tammy. Laura Koloji is a punctual, professional individual who has an excellent rapport with students and the staff that she works with. She's a caring individual that shows genuine concern for students aligned to their needs in the functional skills class. According to Assistant Principal Teresa Mosier, Laura has served as a teaching assistant in the BHS 1214 Functional Skills Program for the past 5 years. She approaches her role with people with positivity and always has a smile on her face. Mrs. Koloji has established trusting relationships with both students and staff. Laura has been vital with assisting new staff develop the skills necessary to make a positive impact on students in the 1214 program. She is patient, thinks outside the box when it comes to supporting students, is always trying new and creative ways to engage students in the learning process. It is without reservation that we recommend her for tenure. We're happy and excited for this accomplishment. Congratulations to Laura. Megan Donnelly has been approved for a tenure appointment as well. She was hired in November of 2016 and worked exclusively at Council Rock since that time. Her main assignment has been working with students in the 1214 special class. Megan has a positive attitude, is flexible in her thinking. She takes direction well from lead teachers. She continues to be kind, caring, open-minded. She's very collaborative with her colleagues, always looking out for what is best for kids and the team. She's an outstanding teammate who is always willing to contribute creatively and innovatively, looking for solutions to help each individual child. She's a highly valued employee and deserving of this recommendation. Congratulations to Megan. Charlene Tremfer was hired in October of 2016. She's worked exclusively at Council Rock also during her time at Brighton. Her most recent assignment has been working with the first grade classroom and the students in that room. Charlene is a model teaching assistant, collaborative, dependable, positive, and an independent thinker and problem solver. She's worked so hard to create positive, impactful relationships with the students she works with and the classroom teacher as well. She's an advocate for students, is flexible, and is always willing to pitch in and help in any way that she is needed. She's a joy to work with each day, helping with whatever is needed, and again, looking for solutions to help each individual child. They can count on her. She cares deeply, and they look to her for support and guidance and care. She's a highly valued employee, deserving of a tenure appointment. Congratulations to Charlene. Tristan Triolo, a very punctual, professional individual, frequently goes above and beyond to complete his responsibilities in a collaborative and supportive manner. A caring individual that shows genuine concern for the student he is assigned to. Christian is currently working as a teaching assistant for a student one-to-one. He's dedicated to his profession, works well with students, his students' teachers, and the students' parents. He is attuned to individual learning needs and proactive with the assistance that he provides to students. Christian is, as according to Teresa Mosier, a professional, caring, and a good communicator. He has established trusting, supportive relationships with both students and staff. He works well as a member of the team and is a strong student advocate. Christian provides invaluable support to students and is an asset to the high school community. For this and so many other reasons, we recommend Christian for tenure and congratulate him tonight. Patrick Bond is one of the most flexible, intelligent, kind, and thoughtful teachers at Brighton High School, according to Dr. Hall. Observations in Patrick's biology earth science class and informal interactions with Patrick in meetings and in the classroom show him to be professional, competent, passionate, caring, enthusiastic, and extremely reflective and collaborative. He's a tremendous gift for working with some of the most challenging students and has been an instrumental leader in the alternative program. He develops positive relationships with these students throughout the day and is open to working with them in whatever area they need assistance. He's an outstanding member of the AIM faculty and is their only science teacher progressing through each of those courses with them. Betsy Balling notes that she's observed his lessons and is always impressed with his level of student engagement. This is a credit to his preparation style and energy when he delivers his lessons. He's truly an asset to his students, to the science department, and to Brighton High School. We're proud and honored to recommend him for tenure. Congratulations to Patrick. Laura Calamina demonstrates exceptional dedication to her students at French Road. It shines through in all that she does, from individual connections with students to meetings with families and in the lessons that she prepares each day. Throughout her time at French Road, Laura has worked with special education students in both the PATH program and the 1214 classroom. In both settings, Laura has proven to provide a warm, safe, nurturing, and positive learning environment for her students at FRES. She's a strong collaborator, works with her teammates to problem solve and think outside the box to meet the needs of students, and developed strong, trusting relationship with staff, parents, and students. Mr. Bozak, whom she's worked with for the last several years, remarked she's very good at communicating her thoughts on what a student needs to be successful in order to be successful to both families and the team. She jumps into any situation with a student who needs support and always follows through until the student is ready to move on with the day. For this and her exceptional caring perspective, we recommend her for tenure and congratulate her this evening. Ashley Ellis is a committed and exemplary counselor at French Road who goes above and beyond with her work and the students, colleagues, and families each day at FRES. Her connections to students and families is outstanding. Her love and care for students, as well as her knowledge of their individual strengths, coupled with her connections to families, helps to create a unique learning environment that embraces each child. She works with classroom teachers to create an environment to best support the individual learner that she works with, and has the innate ability to make all students feel included, welcome, and part of the greater school community. She's shown students that being part of a school family, as she describes it, is part of what makes our school so special. Lonnie Mazurowski's fifth grade teacher who's worked with Ashley since she started at FRES shared that she's a once-in-a-lifetime counselor. Her commitment and dedication to her students and colleagues is unparalleled. She works hard to make every person she works with feel cared for, respected, and important. Friends families have also shared how much they value Ashley's work, as well as a variety of teachers and other staff members who have interacted with Ashley. Congratulations, Ashley, on your tenure appointment. Jeff Gardner. Jeff's biology, chemistry classes, and informal interactions with Jeff in meetings and in his classroom show him to be professional, competent, passionate, caring, enthusiastic, humorous, and extremely reflective and collaborative. He has a tremendous gift when it comes to planning his lessons and being reflective of his practice. He is always looking for new and innovative ways to meet the needs of his students. He goes above and beyond the call of duty to develop positive relationships with his students and is open to working with them throughout the day. He works tirelessly to create an instructional environment that emphasizes individualized instruction, collaboration, argument-driven inquiry, which I thought was just a discussion I have at home with my own children, and activity-centered and inquiry-based learning. Jeff's classroom environment invites learning and exploration. As Matt Coma said, he's an invaluable member of the science department at the high school. He teaches biology, he's also taught principles of chemistry. He shares his enthusiasm with his students, and the students clearly enjoyed learning from Jeff. He's been at the forefront of using new technology to enhance his lessons during the pandemic. The lessons and labs he has created are outstanding, and will be great additions to the curriculum when students return to school in person full-time. Congratulations, Jeff, on your tenure appointment. Rebecca Geary. Rebecca Geary is a high school biology chemistry teacher. The informal interactions with Rebecca and meetings in the classroom show Rebecca to be a professional, competent, passionate, caring, enthusiastic, and extremely reflective and collaborative educator. She has a tremendous gift when it comes to planning her lessons and being reflective of her practice. She is always looking for new and innovative ways to meet the needs of her students. In fact, she regularly implements new and innovative labs and classroom activities to help kids gain a greater conceptual understanding of the concepts being learned. She goes above and beyond the call of duty to develop positive relationships with her students and is open to working with them throughout the day. She is regularly available to students in the morning, flex, free periods, and after school. She's taken on a remote section of chemistry this year and includes them in her daily flex periods, sets up individuals' times with students as well, and works tirelessly to create an instructional environment that emphasizes individualized instruction and collaboration. Matt Coma remarked that she's a dynamic teacher on the chemistry team, cares deeply about each and every one of the students, going above and beyond to provide extra help and encouragement to anyone who needs it. This year, she's teaching a section of chemistry students, again learning in the full remote model, and provide an amazing learning environment for those students. She's a team player, valued and integral member of the chemistry team. Congratulations to Rebecca Geary. Jana Gurnat. Jana has been teaching in the music department since September of 2010. Jana, it's time. She served for many years in a part-time teaching capacity, which is why this is happening now. The look, the smile on your face, Jana, I can see it. Again, since 2010, definitely waited the longest of anybody on the screen, and we're so happy for you, first when you became full-time and now at this moment. She is student-centered, creative, reflective, and an active collaborator. Her commitment to helping all students access music in their lives and ability to work well with others as a music team member make her a deserving candidate for tenure. She's flexible, creative, so much so that she has taught every grade level from kindergarten through 8th grade during her time in Brighton. Not many people can say that, Jana. Whatever her assignment, she brings a can-do attitude to the task. She places a high value on students and their active participation. Her lessons are guided by the art standards, but her main focus is always to generate active engagement and enthusiasm through the purposeful use of movement and the incorporation of hands-on music making. During the recent pandemic, when sharing instruments was not possible, she guided students in making their own instruments from household materials so they could use them to learn new rhythms. She makes it a regular practice to invite students to bring their own musical traditions to the school environment to share. She's consistently demonstrated her dedication to students across many settings and shown a willingness to find creative ways to make music relevant and meaningful to her students. Congratulations, Jana. Anna Holcomb works tirelessly at Brighton High School to create an instructional environment that emphasizes individualized instruction and collaboration. Due to Anna's approachable personality and respectful nature, students feel comfortable asking questions and sharing. During instruction. Anna has also taken on ICT courses this past few years, and is doing a wonderful job. She has a great rapport with her co-teacher, and our students are the ultimate winners. She regularly plans with her co-teacher and other math colleagues in the department and is a genuine team player. Matt Coma has remarked that she's a wonderful math teacher, loves her students, helps them engage with math and learn in a fun and relaxed way. She's a strong collaborator, actively plans with her colleagues to make sure students are getting the very best instruction possible. We're proud and honored to recommend her for tenure and confident that she'll continue to make outstanding contributions to BHS and Brighton for years to come. Congratulations to Anna. Leah Kettlecamp has been teaching in the music department at Frez since September of 2017 and demonstrated an ability to be a student-centered educator in all regards. She regularly plans her small group lessons with the needs of individual students in mind. In each of our classroom observations, we've been impressed with her ability to clearly communicate learning objectives, observe students, give targeted feedback on their technique, and celebrate their successes. She also has done a masterful job of choosing a repertoire for her students that includes parts at multiple skill levels. As a result of her thoughtful approach, every student engages in music in ways that will stretch them just outside their comfort zone and help them meet with success while learning new skills. Over the past 2 years, she's incorporated fiddling skills into lessons alongside classical string techniques to help students see that different cultural groups use similar instruments in different ways to make their music. These new styles are highly engaging and generate enthusiasm. In our post-observation conferences, Leah has always been ready to share her own ideas on how to improve the lesson. She's consistently demonstrated willingness to go beyond expectation for the benefit of students. She's present at district events beyond her own concerts and is always ready to lend a hand to colleagues and students when needed. Congratulations to Leah Kettlecamp on your tenure appointment. Rachel Kossoff. Her classroom at French Road is an amazing place to be. One of the greatest strengths that Rachel has is her ability to connect with students on an individual level. She embraces creating her classroom community to include each student in the uniqueness that makes them who they are. Her love and care for students, as well as her knowledge of their individual strengths, coupled with her connections to families, helps to create a unique learning environment that embraces each individual child. Rachel has taken a vested interest in the fourth grade curriculum and instruction for her students. She has embraced our district work around being culturally responsive and attended professional development to re-examine the texts she uses with her students and to support engaging students in conversations around diverse topics. She's the type of person that always considers the perspectives of others, including her students and colleagues. She is a strong student-centered educator and someone that both students and adults respect and value. Caitlin ONeill, assistant principal at French Road, has shared that she's a strong advocate for her students and will do whatever she can to help them be successful. Her colleagues see her as a true asset to the team. She's collaborative, flexible, thoughtful, and always operates in the best interests of students. Congratulations to Rachel. Just want to make sure we're letting some other people in the meeting. If you just give me 1 second. Magic of Zoom is also the burden of Zoom. Melissa Maloney is a wonderful speech language pathologist at Council Rock. She's been a perfect fit to round out the talented speech team there. She's a deep and profound knowledge and set of experiences that has deepened the practice at Council Rock for her entire team. Her take charge, can-do attitude leaves no stone unturned for the students that she supports. She is diligent in her research of best and most current practices on some of the most challenging caseloads. She has an incredible way of working with students to empower them, providing them with the lifelong skills that will be necessary for future communication. Students feel cared for and willing to take risks that are often necessary to make the growth they need to make. In her work with parents, Melissa does an excellent job connecting with them to share strategies that they can use at home to better support the growth of their child. She works with them to help them understand the technical language that can be presented in a formalized report in order to allow them to fully understand her work with their child and the progress that their child has been able to make over time. Melissa completes her probationary period demonstrating an excellence in teaching and leadership. She is flexible, has deep knowledge, and an incredible skill set. We're very excited and congratulate her on her tenure appointment. Sarah McGovern. Right from the start of joining the FRES team, Sarah formed relationships with both teachers and students in the building. She is flexible, open-minded, and creatively helps to problem solve as they plan for the best instruction possible for students. Her classroom is a space where students feel safe, welcome, and included. She extends this feeling into the homerooms that she works with as well. She builds personal connections with all of her students by making sure to get to know both the student and their families as individuals. Her relationships and connections in this way help her to offer the best possible services to our students. Our Brighton families that she works with, who are often new to the country, are very thankful to have such a kind, caring, and proactive educator to connect with. Instructionally, she's an out-of-the-box thinker who always tries to creatively address the needs of her students and has worked with teams of teachers in all grade levels and with her ENL colleagues at FRES and across all buildings here in Brighton. Sarah works with Rosemary Holfith, the third grade teacher at French Road, who shared that she's a guru, an influential teacher of her peers and students. Her creativity and problem solving, both from a learning and technology perspective, has lessened the learning curve for students who are facing mountains in front of them, while at the same time giving teachers an opportunity to grow in our craft. Every day I'm grateful to work with Sarah and grateful that my students who are not officially on her caseload have access to the opportunities that she selflessly offers. Congratulations to Sarah on your tenure appointment. Justin McVeigh. Right from the start of joining the FRES school community, Justin has been a bright spot for both students and faculty at French Road. Justin's kind, caring demeanor makes him a very approachable person, professional, and very easy to work with. His thoughtful approach to instruction includes alignment with grade level content as well as intermediate library standards. He has worked hard to align his lessons with our students to content that applies to their day-to-day classroom learning. This includes his selection of texts and skills learned throughout the year. Additionally, Justin has worked hard to review the books in the FRES library to make a constant and continuous effort to update texts to reflect the student population we have in our district. This is no easy task for any librarian, but for Justin, this is one he embraced. In addition to his work in collaboration at FRES, Justin regularly collaborates with the other librarians in the district to support district initiatives and planning, including committee work around curriculum instruction. He takes time to know each and every student that he works with on an individual level. That's no easy task for a teacher who works with the entire school. FRES students seek Justin out as a trusted adult at school and enjoy spending time with him, talking and connecting even outside of his library time with their classes. FRES families have also regularly shared positive feedback about their children's interactions with Justin. They share highlights of Justin's ability to always make sure students feel included and safe, not just when they're learning in his class. Congratulations to Justin on your tenure appointment. Jonathan Northrup. He's a wonderful, kind, empathetic teacher. He works hard to connect with each of his students and families. He's always willing to go above and beyond to support his students with whatever they need. His focus on developing students' vocabulary and English experience is laser-like, and he is always looking to enhance his students' whole child development. He works closely with families, providing support for them as they too adjust to being in a new country and the challenges associated with that experience. He completes his probationary period, having demonstrated excellence in teaching and leadership. He is also a lifelong learner, committed to his own development. He's a partner for teachers in their work with his students. And he has welcomed many new families, not knowing anybody or the language in our country, with care, thought, intellect, and expertise. His knowledge, experience, growth mindset, and dedication to his profession are all part of his excellence. Congratulations, Jonathan, on your tenure appointment. Zach ONeill creates a learning environment at both FRES and TCMS where students are engaged in creating, collaborating, and critical thinking. He establishes strong relationships with his students. He connects with them on personal levels and is able to integrate students' interests into learning. He is reflective, accepts constructive criticism, and applies it then to his practice. He is a team player utilizing his peers as a resource as well as making positive contributions to the technology department. He's a dedicated professional, continuously striving to improve and grow. Dr. Malloy has remarked that he's an individual willing to take on challenges and do so with an optimistic attitude and a desire to do things to the best of his ability. Zach took on the TCMS morning show after Mr. Prioli retired, and that was not an easy task. It required Zach to hit the ground running, to train middle schoolers how to run a studio, and to broadcast information in a live format. He did a fabulous job, and there was no drop-off in the quality of the program. He's an asset to students, families in the technology department, and to TCMS. Congratulations to Zach on your tenure appointment. Darcy Ormiche is an educator who goes above and beyond daily to ensure the success of her students while building deep and meaningful relationships with each of them as well at Council Rock. She gets to know each of her students, their families, and what works best for them in the classroom. As a consultant teacher, she collaborates with several different providers and acts as a case manager. Her organization, insights, and deep skill set allow her to coordinate programming for students and provide them with seamless instruction. Darcy is incredibly flexible, has wonderful problem-solving skills, looks at situations from many different angles with a solution-focused lens to best serve the needs of students. Her kind, passionate, supportive way with children is extraordinary. Her students love her and work hard to achieve their best for her each day. As a case manager, she worked closely with families, connecting with them to provide necessary supports for both her students and their families. She frequently collaborates with them to prepare and update goals and individual learning plans for their child through the CSC process. Under her care, families feel connected to their child's learning, classroom, or school, and their progress. Congratulations to Darcy on your tenure appointment. Christina Penley is a committed educator who goes above and beyond in her work with students, colleagues, and families each day at French Road. In her classroom, she creates a safe place for students to be themselves, learn from each other, and celebrate their individuality. By creating a classroom community that embraces all, Christina allows her students to take risks both academically and socially. This year, as a fully remote teacher, Christina has set a high standard of commitment and dedication to both students and their families. Many students have shared with me how much they value Christina as their child's teacher. Her structure, organization, rigor, and care for students comes through even as students are learning in their homes, writes Dr. Rio. Christina creates a collaborative learning environment where she makes sure that all students get the support that they need. Her students know the expectations and routines, and they work together as a team to learn. Assistant Principal at French Road, ONeill, shared some thoughts about Christina as well, saying that she's done a great job transferring her instructional practices to remote learning. She goes above and beyond to make sure that she is meeting the needs of students in her class. She's a strong collaborator and is reflective in her teaching. She also embraces being a continual learner, volunteers to try new ideas, whether it is with a new technology tool or an instructional strategy. She's a collaborator with her colleagues and thinks outside the box to address curriculum instruction and student learning. Deeply cares about her children and inspires them each day. Congratulations to Christina on your tenure appointment. Katya Kuchira is a professional, competent, caring, enthusiastic, and extremely collaborative teacher at BHS. She has a gift for successfully working with all kinds of learners. She works diligently to create an instructional environment that emphasizes individualized instruction, respect, engagement, and activity-centered learning. Her classroom is a warm and inviting place for students to come and learn. We have seen kids laughing, completely engaged, and having fun while learning under Kateri's guidance in the classroom, writes Dr. Hall. Kateri is very approachable and easy to talk to about kids' instruction and specific student concerns. Assistant Principal Teresa Mosier remarked that she has served as a special education teacher in the functional skills classroom. She is skilled in her ability to support and teach students with significant and diverse learning needs. She has found Kateri to be a reflective teacher who cares deeply about the students and families with whom she works. She's a strong advocate for students and understands the importance of establishing open and honest lines of communication with families. She is an active member of the school community and serves as co-advisors of the Best Buddies Club. She's truly an asset to her students, her department, and to Brighton High School. Congratulations on your tenure appointment, Kateri. Ciara Rank has found her niche within the 12-1-4 program at Council Rock. Her classroom is calm, incredibly well organized, structured for both students and adults, and a warm environment for students to thrive. She works with students from a variety of different ability levels and somehow manages to create a cohesive curriculum and incredibly connected environment for each one of her lucky students. It only takes a short visit to her classroom to see her devotion, care, and kindness shine right through. She treats every child in her care as if they were one of her own children, advocating for their best interests, supporting them in whatever their next step is in learning and connecting with them. She works with many adults within her classroom, and she supports, and again, the classroom runs like a well-oiled machine. She has worked very hard to develop a rapport with each of the adults in the room, encouraging open communication and true problem solving to ensure the best for all who enter the classroom, both students and adults. The adults within the classroom feel part of the culture and community of the classroom with a voice and valued expertise that is integral to the success of each child. Under Ciara's guidance, each of these caring adults has grown immensely in their own skill set based on the modeling that she displays in her classroom as well. Parents in her program feel informed, empowered, and a real part of the team that is making the best decisions for their children. Her skills, experience, organization, and dedication to her profession are all part of this excellence and what makes us so proud of her tenure appointment this evening. Congratulations. Rachel Rivera, teacher at Brighton High School who works extremely hard to ensure that all students feel success. She has created an exceptional learning environment as her room is welcoming and friendly with students actively involved in a lesson on task and free to participate throughout the class period. She's developed several carefully maintained routines and procedures so that her classes are organized, productive, safe. Dr. Hall is most impressed with her willingness to think outside the box and working with our most challenging students and collaborating with other colleagues to brainstorm new ideas and interventions to help our kids. Matt Coma provided the following comments. She teaches both Spanish and French at BHS and does an excellent job in both languages. Rachel is very flexible and has taught many different courses in both of those curriculum over the past 3 years. She teaches the AP Spanish classes and has done an outstanding job helping seniors become strong communicators in Spanish. Rachel has lots of expertise with educational technology. She's constantly trying new programs and is a go-to helper for teachers in her department and across the school. She's truly an asset to her students, the World Language Department, and to Brighton High School. Congratulations, Rachel, on your tenure appointment. Shannon Times, math teacher at Brighton High School, has an outstanding rapport with her students. Matt Coma, assistant principal at BHS, remarks, she takes the time to get to know each of them as individuals, works hard to help each student do their very best. She's very skilled with instructional technology and uses the programs we have available to their fullest capabilities to support student learning. She's shown great flexibility and positivity during this unprecedented pandemic year, helping her students to keep things in perspective and deal with the stresses that the year has presented. Mike Malloy, assistant principal at TCMS, has remarked that she's worked primarily as a provider for Math AIS and depending on student enrollment has had sections of math classes added to her schedule. The exact nature of the classes Shannon has taught has changed from year to year, yet she has always faced these changes with patience and understanding. She has done so well in any setting and has been an outstanding educator with every group of children she's worked with. She's a team player. She's highly collaborative with colleagues and students. She's partnered with Eileen Kerr at TCMS to create the Black Student Union Club several years ago. Her experience as a graduate BCSD have helped her to forge meaningful relationships with her students. Every one of our visits to Shannon's classrooms demonstrate her expertise as well as her connection to children. She's an asset to students, the math department in TCMS, and Brighton High School. Congratulations to Shannon on your tenure appointment. Members of the Board of Education, it is my pleasure to congratulate en masse the entire group of tenure recipients this year and to say to their families, many of whom are listening in and participating this evening, first, thanks to all of you because you have given something for all of them to be as successful as they are. You should be very proud of your family member who's receiving this appointment tonight. This is essentially a lifetime commitment that the district is making. It's an exceptional commitment that says we would like to be with you and have you working with our children for good. And we appreciate the efforts that you have made to demonstrate to us that that's something we would want as a partner. So thank you very much to all of you, to your families that have sacrificed, but to all of you as tenure recipients for all the work that you have done to touch the lives of our children in this community. We deeply appreciate your commitment to all it is that Brighton believes and congratulate you on your appointment this evening. And a round of applause, please.
Kevin,
Yes.
if I can interrupt for a minute, as always, every year with our tenure reception and approval, we always have a couple of moving parts and technical glitches and whatever. Is it possible that you skipped over an individual at the bottom of that list before you went to Shannon?
It is entirely possible because now I see that my pages were stuck together. And if you give me 1 second, I'm now just seeing that, and I appreciate somebody making sure they point out that Laura Sarche, who was stuck right before Shannon Times piece of paper, is also here with us this evening. So Laura, all those things also apply to you, but let me just say that for you in particular, you're a kind, caring, and compassionate teacher. Mr. Nunez writes that you've developed strong relationships with families and students and always seek ways to support enhancing the educational experience for every child. You're a family and student advocate, always striving to provide an educational experience that never leaves a doubt that your efforts are intended to support the child in achieving their goals. Families continuously reach out, sharing how appreciative they are of the time and effort that Laura puts into ensuring their child's needs are met. Laura's classroom environment is warm, safe, inviting, and students are free to take risks. She has a passion for teaching and has a natural contagion effect on those around her. Interactions with students are genuine, respectful, caring, and culturally understanding. Students' interactions demonstrate her passion for the work that are genuine, respectful, caring, and culturally understanding. Laura plans lessons around the needs of students, the needs and interests of students. She is aware of possible misconceptions in a lesson and is prepared to address them as they arise. Laura clearly communicates learning targets, and her explanation of the content is always clear. She always has specific strategies for students to use and models how to effectively use them. Her pacing of lessons is developmentally appropriate and offers students the time to process information, questions, and be cognitively engaged. Congratulations, Laura, on your tenure appointment. My understanding also is that Suzanne Crowley was able to join us, and so it's my pleasure to also recognize Suzanne Crowley. Suzanne Crowley is a teacher at Brighton High School who works extremely hard to ensure that all students feel success. Suzanne has created an exceptional learning environment as her room is welcoming and friendly, with students actively involved in the lesson, on task, and free to participate throughout the class period. Suzanne has developed several carefully maintained routines and procedures so that her classes are organized, productive, and safe. We're most impressed with her willingness to think outside the box in working with our most challenging students and collaborating with other colleagues to brainstorm new ideas and interventions to help students. She and her Spanish colleagues came up with a novel solution that we'll be implementing next fall to work with our Spanish 1B students, writes Dr. Hall. Matt Coma provided the following perspective. She's a strong member of the Spanish teaching team, does an excellent job helping students feel comfortable in her classroom so that they are willing to take risks and make mistakes as they learn to speak Spanish. She starts each class by checking in with students, encouraging and helping them to speak Spanish. She collaborates very effectively with her colleagues, sharing ideas and implementing ideas shared by others. She's truly an asset to her students, her world language department, and to Brighton High School. Congratulations to Suzanne Crowley. So I'm just double checking that there isn't any other people that I have missed. And I would ask if there's anybody on screen that can tell me if I've missed anybody. Please let me
I think you got everything, Kevin.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you very much to everybody. And again, congratulations on your tenure appointments.
From the Board of Education, Kevin, I'm going to ask you to let Board Member Larry Davis back in, please. He needs to be brought back from wherever he went. But anyway, we do need to take a quick action. I mentioned this, sometimes things glitch up. Our agenda for this evening unfortunately omitted one name. So what we want to do is make sure, a board member, please, a motion to approve the tenure recommendation and add our outstanding teacher, Shannon Times, to the list on item number 3 and item number 4 on the agenda, please.
So move.
Second.
That was moved by
Andrea?
Andrea, seconded by Karen.
Aaron.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
None. Any opposed? Okay, officially, we honored Shannon, but we want to make sure we add her to that list. And as those of you that know that have been around, when we're in person, these things happen. They're a moving item often as we get toward the end of the year. So on behalf of the Board of Education, I want to congratulate everyone this evening. It's so nice to see all of you, families, support from your colleagues. Most of you are aware what a wonderful place Brighton is, and how collegial and how we appreciate those who serve our students and families every single day. And the difficulty of this past year has heightened that appreciation, if you will, for all of you and the work that you do. You know, the hiring process in Brighton is rigorous. We review every teacher every year through the tenure process. And when we get to this point, it is a true celebration. And we're so happy and enthusiastic to welcome you officially to the community in terms of approving tenure. So thank you all. It's a tremendous accomplishment on your part. We welcome you and thank you all for joining us this evening. It's also the time, if we were in person, we would say, if you'd like to leave the room at this point in time, you're welcome to do so. But you're welcome to stay on Zoom all night if you want. We have plenty to cover the rest of the evening. So,
Mark, can I interrupt you for 1 second?
yes.
This is not on the agenda. So this is a quick pause for something, and you have to put your metaphorical gavel down for 1 moment. And I'd ask Julene Gilbert, would you like to jump in?
Yeah. I would just like to say that it's been my honor and good fortune to work with both Marv Sachs, who retired last year after serving for 30 years on the Brighton School Board, and with Mark Kokanovich, and this is his last board meeting. He's retiring this year after serving for 15 years, 12 of which he's served as our president. They both exemplify what it means to be outstanding school board members. They've worked tirelessly to make school the best it can possibly be for every single child.
You're on mute.
Okay.
That
Are
is,
we ready?
That is Marv.
hold
Hi,
on.
Marv. Hi, Sora.
Hi. Just quiet.
Perfect.
Would you put yourselves on mute for a minute, please?
I exercised the mute button with a sax just now, again.
Thank you. And so on behalf of all the board members who have worked with both Marv and with Mark over all of these years, it's my privilege to thank them for their leadership, their hard work, and their friendship. And now I want to welcome Barry Entwistle from NYSSBA to say a few words to both Marv and to Mark.
Thank you so much, Julene, and thank you to the members of the Board of Education. It's great to be here this evening. I previously served on a school board in Central New York, and I remember getting the tenure appointments for our new teachers coming into our district, and it was simply an agenda item. This is wonderful the way your school district does this, very professional, and it's nice to learn a little bit about each of the new teachers that are coming into the Brighton family. So I really commend you. I'm glad I was able to watch the beginning of this because it was really very heartwarming to see the real closeness of this school community and recognizing each individual who will be taking on the ranks of their teaching careers. So I do commend the board and the district, and again, all of the teachers who received tenure this evening. Congratulations. State School Boards Association, serving on a school board is certainly not an easy task. In the last 2 years, board members have certainly been challenged, but we're really proud of our members across the state of New York. And when we were asked to speak this evening, first off, Brighton School District is synonymous with quality. So anytime we get an opportunity to meet and spend some time with the board, it's always our pleasure. When we were sort of looking at Marvin's career of 30 years on a school board, again, I served 15. Think about all of the individual meetings, and this is in addition to your regular Board of Education meetings. I've always told board members across the state, I do a lot of training with board members, that sitting on the school board becomes sort of this part-time job. Initially, you sign up for it, but if you want to do it right, you have to put the time in. And I think that's critically important. And so spending 30 years on a board of education serving your community, when you think of civic duty, there's no greater civic duty than serving public education. And so Marvin, after 30 years of coming in and out of meetings, and we all know what it's like to be on a board. We like to celebrate in the good news. There are certainly challenges and those times throughout the years when we don't have so great news, right? And it really can be a roller coaster ride. But for just volunteering your time and spending 30 years on behalf of the State School Boards Association, Marvin, we want to say thank you. There's only a handful of board members across the state that put in 30 plus years on a board of education. The average board member puts in about 2 terms, about 6 years. So Marvin's leaving after 30. So that's quite an accomplishment. And again, on behalf of our board of directors and everyone at the state school boards, congratulations. Mark Kovanovich. Mark is sort of someone we know at the state school boards. He is certainly a friend of ours. He also helps us deliver professional development. He's become part of the NYSSBA family. So if you talk to any of our 50 staff members, I think most of us know Mark. We pick up the phone when we need him. And he always, so far, has said yes. He has traveled with us across the state of New York. So in addition to serving on his own board, he's worked very, very closely with the New York State School Boards Association. I know he's done a lot of training for board presidents, and we consider Mark to be one of the model board presidents in the entire state of New York. And Brighton is really fortunate to have such a great educational leader. I know when a lot of our members come to trainings and they listen to Mark, they know this is a quality person that's really giving good content. And Mark always approaches things, with the leadership mind, but also the common sense approach as well. And so when I was coming here this evening, I was talking to some of my colleagues, and they just have great affection. My colleague Darcy, who heads up our training division, Mark, says congratulations. She said to me, I can't do my job without Mark. Every time I call him, he's always there. So, again, real commitment to our association and real commitment to the children across New York State. We did send out in advance. Kevin, I think they were received the recognition certificates for plaques for both Mark and Marvin, and they read in recognition of your educational leadership, your service, and your commitment to the children of New York State. We cannot be more grateful. I know you'll have great members coming in to fill those shoes, but those are big shoes to fill. And so for Marvin and Mark, again, congratulations from the bottom of our heart. We know you'll be missed, but it doesn't mean that we still won't call upon you, particularly Mark. If you're still interested in doing training, we'll probably give you a call. So thank you again.
Thank you, Barry. Much appreciated. And Mark was surprised from behind there. Gene brought his plaque out, and we know Sora delivered that to Marv too. And I would just start personally by saying that first, Marv, we spoke a lot about this last year, but his commitment to this district over 30 years is really unparalleled, and all that he brought to the board and his leadership will be cherished for a long time. We continue to connect with Marv throughout the year as an active and engaged community member, and so value the institutional knowledge that he brought to the table and continues to. So Marv, continue to do that, and please don't be a stranger. As for Mark, now's my chance, Mark. I get to say just a few words as well. People I hope can understand about how Mark is a leader among leaders and has been as a school board member. He selflessly gives of his time and talent, and he really only has one goal in mind, and that's to improve outcomes for all kids involved in our educational system. He began his service 15 years ago, as you know, and 12 years ago became the president, and has dedicated himself entirely to this. We often discuss the fact that Mark really is a full-time professional board member. I know our board members wouldn't mind and probably would appreciate me saying that he mentors each and every one of our board members, always available to answer questions or help people think through a challenging situation. He works side by side, certainly as my partner, and along with Julene, provides support and guidance at a moment's notice. He's my first call in any situation. And what's interesting about that, that's not out of a duty to report or to inform, but rather a conversation that happens happily and without hesitation, simply to collaborate. I can count on him in that way, and I don't know that that is a relationship that is described that way throughout the state of New York. I know it takes on many different forms, but the phone call to him is one of collaboration as opposed to obligation. It's a steadfast partnership for me, but also with the entire board. And it's really only the beginning of the ways that Mark impacts the work of so many. When he's not completing his duties at Brighton, and Barry spoke to this as well, he supports many individual board members throughout our region and beyond. Works closely with our school boards association, with the state association as well, provides regional programming, mentors other board members, part of many, many committees. He's also been a constant voice in Albany. I don't know, and it's got to be on one hand, the number of board members that are known by name by many members of the Senate and Assembly, if they're not in their district. I'm pretty sure that's probably, less than 5. They may know people that are in their district because they contact them, but Mark is a relentless advocate around foundation aid and things that just make sense legislatively in the legislature. As I said, he was such a big part of the foundation aid conversation. After spending so much time in their offices and their staff, I can tell you that several members and leaders in both have said, oh, yes, we know your board president, Mr. Kukanovich. Now, that's not because there's a restraining order or anything like that. It purely is because of his constant advocacy. Brighton this, Brighton that, we've heard from your school board president. I will tell you one of the most interesting measures, and Mark has heard me tell this story, but when I broke the news to my fellow colleague superintendents that Mark was retiring from our board, it was met with concern, with sadness. That never happens. No offense to board members in other districts, but if they go do something else, I don't care. I'm worried about our 7 board members. Very rarely does a board member in another district impact other districts. And don't get me wrong, our school board association and the regional group, great close relationships, a lot of wonderful people. I don't mean to sound dismissive or harsh. I guess what I mean is my job doesn't necessarily always depend on them the way my colleagues look at Mark's role in the region. There's something to be said for that. It does not happen often at all. I can't think of another board member in my 15 years of doing this that is looked at that way by other superintendents. Finally, I'd like to point out that our own journey around reflection and growth relative to diversity, equity, and inclusion that we are on and will continue to be on. Throughout that time, Mark has constantly modeled a desire to learn more, to listen more carefully, engage in uncomfortable conversations in order to grow. He's been a leader in this work, but he's also modeled it for other school board members in other districts because he's willing to tell the story and push them to engage in the most uncomfortable conversation. He's been a role model for other school board members, leaders, and educators in every other way. He leads with integrity. He always says what he means and means what he says. He leads with heart and soul. He's aware of how his words and actions can inspire others, and rather than discourage, heal rather than hurt, teach rather than simply tolerate. You might think that he wants to be the center of attention or larger than life based on all of this. It's exactly the opposite. He's kind, unassuming, and thoughtful. It has endeared him to so many in so many ways. He's the first person there to set up a table, to clean something up, to just humbly say, how can I help? When we've gone through the most challenging circumstances and tragedies in the district, Mark is the first one to stop by with a hot cup of coffee and say, how can I help? Not how can I dominate the conversation or lead or try and be in the way or micromanage, but rather how can I be there for all of you? What do you need? How can the board help? Let us know what we can do. Like I said, my colleagues were very concerned, only to be relieved by the idea that he will be on the BOCES board. He's truly a special person, a remarkable leader and friend to all of us, and I say that very personally as well. He's deserving of this recognition, but all of our praise, our thanks, and just our sincere gratitude. We're so indebted to you, Mark, for your work. Thank you for the difference that you have made for kids. And when we think about the gaps that have been closed and the conversations we're having about all children and every family engaging, it's thanks to your leadership that that's happening. Thank you, Mark, for all that you've done, and congratulations to you.
I just want to say, first of all, I'm glad this is recorded because I got my eulogy all set. But thank you so much. Barry, thank you for joining in, and all the kind words. Marv, who's his ceremony and his recognition delayed by a year, and his leadership really set the table as board president. You know, when Kevin came on board, and then the current Julene and I as leaders took over, and he mentored us, he led us in his way, and you know, we'll be forever grateful for all of the effort that Marv has made, Sora in her service to the BOCES board. But this has truly been one of the best parts of my life. And you all know how much I enjoy working with the group. And Gene and I love this community. We love the district. And it has been an honor, and it has been an entire pleasure. And I couldn't be more proud of our group and our leadership, and certainly all of our teachers working with our kids and families every day. So thank you all for your support. Things are in great shape. Things will move forward, and I'll be around, just not always around. So thank you so much.
We're counting on it, Mark. Thank you.
Can I go now? Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Well, you can go back now. This is, by the way, I will tell you, people need to know the first time in 12 years where there's been an agenda item that Mark had no idea was coming. We were able to grab the gavel, so.
My biggest accomplishment in all my years of school board service.
I had no idea what was going on.
Kept it a secret from him.
That in and of itself is impressive, so thanks. Thank you, Barry, for joining us too.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you on behalf of the state school boards.
Mark, it's all yours.
Okay. We are we moving to retiree recognition further, Kevin?
We are, and I'm going to start. I'll let you pull yourself together. Ready? So we have a retirement from a district office administrator, and then we'll move to Brighton High School, then the middle school, then French Road and Council Rock for those that could attend tonight. And it is my pleasure to recognize tonight Dr. Debbie Baker, our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. Very briefly, everybody's been very patient tonight, but I do want to tell you that Dr. Baker received her degree in agricultural education because I think it's very interesting, and she reminds us all the time our food doesn't come from Wegmans. Before completing her master's in education at Geneseo and her doctoral degree in special education at UB. She began her career here in 2007. She was a great success as a director of curriculum at Leroy prior to that, and director of technology also at Leroy, and a district technology coordinator at Mount Morris in Wyoming for Genesee Valley BOCES. She was also a special education teacher for many districts, which explains to those that didn't know that why she is so particularly in tune to finding solutions for the needs of every individual child. She is relentless when it comes to students and their success. Relentless. It's that persistence that drives Debbie to get the work done, to dig deeper, to take on the most challenging conversations, and to always, always, always strive for us to be better. I can tell you that Debbie has about, well, she'll tell you the number of days, although she's not actually counting, we are. Not counting because we're looking forward to it, counting out of regret, that she continues in meetings right up through today, yesterday, to drive the conversation and to push and push hard for us to be better for kids. She's always pursuing the next, the best, and the most impactful ways for our children to be supported. Exceptionally bright, expert in her field, dedicated educator, always seeks to understand and then to deliver. So Debbie, our children, our staff and community are so much better for having worked with you. Our minds are open. All of our kids are more successful thanks to you. Congratulations and best wishes to you. Dr. Hall, Brighton High School.
Good evening, everybody. And I believe I have one retiree on the screen, Karen Flynn. I can't see her right now. Is Karen there? Thumbs up.
I'm here. Yep.
Oh, hey, Karen.
Hey.
So Karen Flynn will be retiring after 21 years here in the district as an English teacher at the high school. During Karen's career, Karen oversaw and revived our speech and debate team, going from a novice inexperienced team to a team winning state competitions. Karen has always participated in faculty talent shows and most importantly, implemented and supervised our participation in the National Poetry Out Loud competition at BHS, which she brought to BHS, and I hope it will never leave. During Karen's career, she traveled to various countries in Africa where she put her dance and drumming degree into practice. She studied traditional African dance and drumming for 3 years and started her own drumming and dancing company in the early 2000s called Bush Mango. In retirement, Karen plans to take some trips and hopes to first travel to the San Juan Islands in Washington State with friends for some biking, hiking, kayaking, and hopefully a lot of relaxing. Well-deserved for sure. Congratulations, Karen. We're going to miss you and your presence in the English department. Wish you all the best.
Thank you, Dr. Hall. Mr. Nunez. And I'm actually looking, Mr. Nunez, I don't know if any of your retirees are attending unless Shelley Camp is here.
No, they are not in attendance this evening.
All right, let's, Dr. Rio, I don't believe yours are either.
Nope, not here tonight.
Thank you. And Council Rock, Mr. Tappan, you have several.
I'm the winner. So I have 3 incredible retirees. So I'm going to start with Julie Dubois. Julie has served as our full-time Council Rock nurse for the last 13 years, supporting and helping children and families through a wide range of events, from minor bumps and bruises to major medical events like seizures and maneuvering through the scary early days of being diagnosed with diabetes. Her tenacious advocacy for our kids, their families, and our staff will be sorely missed. We wish Julie well as she hopes to travel more, spend more time with her family, and perhaps get back on stage to sing again. So congratulations and good luck to you, Julie. We hope you will not be a stranger at Council Rock. My next retiree is Paula Tantillo. Paula has been teaching at Council Rock for the last 28 years, serving as, get ready for all the roles, you can keep count with me, a first grade teacher, a second grade teacher, a kindergarten teacher, an instructional specialist, a reading teacher, and finally, our Council Rock literacy coach, where she retires from. Paula has a deep knowledge and commitment to literacy and to early childhood education that will be sorely missed at Council Rock and across the district, as she has shared within her instructional specialist roles. We wish Paula all the best in retirement and hope she gets to spend more time with her family, travel, and read, Paula, for your own pleasure, not for ours, and for helping us learn. So best of luck, Paula, and we hope, again, you are not a stranger next year. And finally, Judy Wegman. So Judy Wegman is leaving us after 31 years in Brighton and at Council Rock. In that time, she has served as a first and second grade teacher and our extended studies teacher at K2. Judy's impact has gone far beyond our walls at Council Rock, however. Her influence and leadership as the BTA president and a major presence in the BTA in her many years has been incredible and will surely be missed district-wide. Her thoughtful nature and solution-focused way of going about everything is something that I will personally miss. Judy, we wish you days of sitting by your pool, traveling, and whatever brings you joy and calm as you enter retirement. Best of luck, Judy. We will sorely miss you.
I'd like to take the opportunity, Mark, before handing it back over to you, to just say that although I recognize each of the retirees, value you greatly, and wish you all the best, I would like to take just 10 seconds to remark on the relationship we have with Judy as the BTA president, but I actually would go back to foundationally a teacher of my children, who, when I came here, and my kids actually came later, in February of my first year here when we could finally move, Judy had, talked to me about my kids' interests, et cetera, and Peter was at the time in second grade. And when I had shared with her things that he was really interested, magically, he joined an ESS group very quickly upon arrival to dig into a particular topic that he was interested in. And Judy remembered it. It was Egypt. It wasn't like it was that common. And he was really into it at the time. I'm sure he's mortified now that I'm explaining his interest when he was in second grade. But he wouldn't be, because he'd be forever grateful to Judy for the way that she approached creating a caring, warm environment for him. And I think that speaks to who she is as a human being, who she's been as a leader in this district, as president of the BTA, the way she's approached those duties with integrity, faithfulness, and commitment to each and every teacher, but to the district as well, and finding collaborative solutions, knowing, and us mutually hopefully knowing, that solutions that made sense for humans and people make us better all the way around as a school district, and finding that way to collaborate and way to meet in the middle was so important. I've truly treasured the relationship and feel that it has a great deal to do with our success over many years, particularly in weathering what's been so challenging over the past year. We spend an inordinate amount of time together trying to come up with solutions, and I cherish that time. And similar to what I think, again, speaks to who we are as Brighton, my colleagues may not say the same thing about their relationships with their board president and the way that works. I don't know any of them that would say the same thing in terms of our work together. And that's not to say they don't enjoy positive labor relations in other places, but to truly look forward to that meeting Monday afternoons and the ways that we can solve problems together speaks volumes. And I appreciate that, Judy, both your friendship and our collegiality. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kevin. And really, I just want to, I so appreciate that. I wanted to really take a moment just very quickly to thank Mark for his commitment and dedication to the district, and Marv knows I have a deep affection for him for his many years of service, a great champion for our teachers and our children, and Mark's leadership was just extraordinary, and so grateful for that. So grateful, as been pointed out a few times, the partnership and the relationship between administration and union and Board of Education and all of the other parts and pieces of Brighton are quite extraordinary, and we don't realize it because, well, we're living in the moment each day in kind of our own vacuum. But when you have opportunity, as Kevin and Mark and I do on occasion, to step out to other places, that's where it really becomes quite obvious to us that this is such a special place, and all the ways we're able to work together is what makes us work so very, very hard for our families and for our children, because that is our ultimate common goal, is to do whatever we can to help our children succeed. So I've so enjoyed my time here in Brighton, and I know Brighton has a wonderful future ahead of it. So thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Mark.
Thank you very much. And Judy, from the board, thank you so much. It's been said, but we do appreciate you and I appreciate our personal relationship, but your relationship with the board and our ability to work together and collaborate. And, you know, it's all about building relationships over time, right? And those are best built when you work through very difficult things. And thank you so much. And I wish you the very best moving on in your retirement. We're going to move in a minute to blueprint updates, but before we do that, we will offer the opportunity for public participation. I realize it's late in the meeting schedule this evening. If there is anyone that is online on the Zoom itself and wishes to comment during public participation, please go to the chat feature at the bottom of your screen, put your name and your address in there, and we will call on you shortly. But before we do that, I also want to introduce another individual this evening. Esther Winter has joined us this evening. Esther, as most of you will recognize, is our newest board member to be, if you will, July 1st. Esther begins her term as a newly elected Board of Education member in Brighton. I couldn't be prouder to have her join this board, and while technically not taking a seat that I'm leaving, but joining this group and bringing her life experience, her lived experience, her lens to that. And she's here with us this evening to join in. She's begun doing some of her onboarding and beginning work in terms of entry plan, and she'll begin that in earnest in July. So welcome, Esther, and we wish you all the best joining the group. And so we will offer the opportunity. Do we have anyone in public participation is listed and signed into chat that we know of, Kevin?
We do not, and I just want to make sure people know, I double checked and the chat is open. If you tried it before and it wasn't, it is open for all attendees as well, and you just need to put your name and address in, and then I'll tell Mark who it is, we'll call on you and unmute you,
Okay.
offer any comment that you'd like, but I don't see anybody entering anything at this point.
Okay, and we'll we'll move on forward. Again, anyone who's watching us now or on rebroadcast on our YouTube channel later, you certainly can write the board or directly to Dr. McGowan at any point in time, ask a question or make a comment, and we will respond. So thank you. So this evening, we also have blueprint updates as a final updates to the current blueprint process to this current school year. And I will turn it over. Dr. McGowan, do you want to introduce this evening, or who's up first this evening?
Sure. I'll detail also when we get to the superintendent's report a little bit about where we're heading in terms of this year's blueprint and kind of the framework around that for right now. But I'll just simply introduce these by saying that last year, when we worked through the blueprint process, there were two foci for the work. One was diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the second was reopening and essentially management of the pandemic. And so the work revolved around those two primary topics. And largely tonight's updates, so really get at the work that's been done, important work around diversity, equity, and inclusion. I believe Dr. Baker is going to begin, but I am not positive. No? I had a 30% chance. Mr. Alamo.
Yes, I'll be driving today. If I'm allowed to share, I will get us started.
We should be. Go right ahead.
Thank you. Okay, got the right screen up, Allison? Make sure. Thank you. So good evening. So I'll kick us off with summarizing the work of the Hiring Practices Committee. And as we presented before, the Hiring Practices has been focusing on really our three main areas that we're working on simultaneously. So we're working on recruitment, environment, and retention, none of which can be successful unless the other two buckets or areas of focus are working. So we'll go through what our work has been with this year, a third year of working with this structure this year, and I'm proud to report some of the progress we've made. So our first starting point along the recruitment piece, and this was the advice that Marlo Washington had given me one of our first lunches, is own where you are. And we are looking to diversify our teaching and administrative faculty, and we need to invite people to come help us build it. And we need to be honest about where we are in the process. So showing this graphic shows the imbalance and the disproportionality of our faculty and administrators of color, those that are working most closely with our students of color. And so you see the 32% versus the respective bucket. So this is our story, and this is what we're inviting professionals to come help us build through our recruitment efforts. And so with that, I take a slide that's been presented to us by the NYU Metro Center, and they've just been such great partners in helping us be critical thinking partners about our practices and the systems that we have in place. And this is an analogy that they use that really, I think, summarizes our work. So diversity is where everyone is invited to the party. Equity means that everyone gets to contribute to the playlist. Inclusion means that everyone has the opportunity to dance. So when we make this connection to our hiring practices, we're doing the outreach, we're making sure that we're inviting everyone to the party. We're being forthright with what our objectives are, educational and programmatic objectives. We're setting up the process so it's fair and everyone has an opportunity to equally participate and contribute to that process. And that's where I'm most proud of the work. I've heard feedback from our building principals and administrators about the processes that we've evolved really over the course of this year. We've learned from previous experiences. We've taken feedback from committee members. We've worked with NYU, and I really feel comfortable with the process that we've adopted to give everyone the fairest shot possible and allow everyone to contribute to that. So along the same lines, and part of the evolution of our hiring process is what we learned and what we heard as feedback is that we weren't addressing all of the biases that are really important in this work. So again, from NYU and what we've adopted as a committee training program, addressing each of the biases that could show or could play a role in our hiring practices. So this is a list of everything now that we do. If you're going to participate on a committee, you're going to go through an orientation where you're educated about these biases, and we have a whole program that we're continuing to evolve. So when we look at recruiting, we're looking at obviously current opportunities, but then Dr. Washington has been instrumental in building a connection with St. John Fisher for a long-term development of a pipeline program. And I invite Dr. Rio, as Debbie is passing the torch, she's participated in some of these conversations. So Allison, if you could please just give us a brief update on your work so far with the teacher pipeline program in partnership with St. John Fisher College.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Lou. So I'm very excited about the collaboration that has been started with St. John Fisher College School of Education. And we've started working with them over the past couple of months, and we have some great plans going into the summer for upcoming work. But really the ultimate goal is to bring teachers of color to Brighton, and that will look like a few different ways. First, our partnership is in working with St. John Fisher to identify the students who are ready to begin their fieldwork experiences and student teach, and align them to work with some of our Brighton teachers. So right now we are looking at a small cohort of students from St. John Fisher College who will be starting in the program and ready to student teach next year and do their fieldwork, and they will be joining us in Brighton. And part of that work is working with our teacher center in Brighton and some of our amazing teachers and also the professors at St. John Fisher College to write some curriculum and form a path of professional learning for this whole cohort. So it's pretty exciting. It's in progress right now. We're working on curriculum. We're working on identifying teachers in Brighton who want to be part of the program. We've identified students at St. John Fisher who want to be part of the program. And also there's another component as we kind of build out of it. We're just getting into this to help our students at Brighton High School and possibly TCMS think about their educational path, and wondering like if we can group some students who are interested in becoming teachers who can then go to St. John Fisher and then come back to Brighton to do their fieldwork and student teaching. But really the bigger picture is to build that pipeline and create a partnership that can just start small right now, but grow much bigger and bring teachers to our district.
Thanks so much. So along those lines, with the environment piece of it and the environment work, the best move that we made this year from an HR perspective is partnership with the Department of Curriculum and Instruction, and specifically the Brighton Teacher Center and Maria Marijo. She has been a great partner in building a framework for the development and commitment to building cultural competent professional development program. And these are some of the programs and systems that we're trying to capitalize that are already in place. And the partnership in Maria's architect background is helping us to define that and what our initiatives are going to be. So you can see this is just one example of how we will grow and how this will become a core part of how we do business from this point going forward with an annual commitment. And along those lines, the systems to build on, again, with Maria Marijo and our partnership and Allison's new role, these are systems that we are going to continue to capitalize on and build on. Our new teacher induction program, the mentoring programs that are already in place, peer support, development of allies and advocates, peer support, all of the components that are critical to maintain a strong, culturally competent environment. So a lot of work left to be done on the environment and retention side. Some of the areas then, more back to the human resource side, it's setting clear expectations as an organization. We have purchased this product, and the topics that we're going to cover to set the tone of the district, and the topics we're going to cover, identity defined, identity conflicts, being an ally, dignity and civility in the workplace, physical disabilities, and they're all listed there. So that's our commitment, and it's going to be annual required trainings, again, to set that tone and to execute the commitment that we've made in this work. So where we're heading going forward in the support systems, when we did the initial kind of survey of our faculty and staff prior to the implementation of the EverFi, we got some feedback. And one of the areas that people want to know is, where do I really go? How do I, if I have a concern, where should I be going in the district? So this is the beginning of a framework of how we're going to support our faculty and staff when there is a concern. So if there's a serious concern and somebody's feeling threatened or unsafe, obviously that's a human resources piece of it, and developing other structures. But if someone needs to make a connection and wants to talk, we want to make sure that we're building those systems as well, so we can support our faculty and staff in what they need and make sure that they have an ally, they have a supportive ear to talk to, and can work through any concerns, and know that they're going to feel supported, and that action will be taken to follow up on any of their concerns. So with that, I will turn it over to Dr. Baker.
Hello. So the Board of Education, some of this is going to sound very familiar to you, and I hope it does. As a matter of fact, I'm also hoping to build some of the intersectionality between the work that Lou's doing and the work of my office. So as you know, that for the last few years, we really have targeted our goals to develop and incorporate culturally responsive curriculum and teaching practices. Our really ultimate goal is to make sure that our students see themselves within our curriculum, what they're learning, and really grow in their identity and understanding of themselves as well as their fellow students. So through that, we use curriculum as a tool or as a mechanism to do that. And I'm very pleased and proud of the units of study that we've been developing over the last year or so under the guidance of Julie Kopp and our Summer Curriculum Writing Institutes to really repurpose not only some of our existing units, but also write whole new units that are seen as being not only culturally responsive, but really have elements of anti-racism, anti-bias within the confines of, or the learning goals of those particular units. Obviously, this also has involved purchasing a number of new resources. We recognize all the way through all of our libraries, as well as in our English departments, our social studies departments primarily, that we really need to make sure that we have resources that are up to date, that are inclusive of all of the diversity that's found across Brighton. Obviously, as Lou was talking about a little bit earlier, actually, Lou, can you go back? I'm not done talking. Anyway, professional learning has been a big part of that. Lou mentioned a little bit earlier this idea that ongoing professional development for our staff from a human resources angle. Also, we've provided ongoing professional development for our staff through a curriculum and instructional lens. We've had over 40 different opportunities, workshops, study groups, Superintendents Conference Day dedicated to this work, a lot of independent learning projects. And so as much as our teachers have really hunkered down this year and really worked hard to get through COVID, they've continued with their own self-exploration of what it means to be culturally responsive. And then Lou also mentioned our partnership with the NYU Metro Center on Diversity and Equity. And we took advantage of that. In my work this year, the Board of Education attended 2 retreats where they were presented with some high quality professional development on what a board's role is in a district that accepts and is fully inclusive. Our monthly administrative professional development, which all of our building level and district level administrators attend, was also delivered by our consultants from NYU. And then the Curriculum Council. We had 2 individuals that worked with us really to lay a foundation for that stakeholder group on what it means to be not only culture responsive, but how we sustain those practices throughout our entire educational system. Okay, Lou, if you go on. As we look towards the future and what this really means, I will take this opportunity to say there's been some kind of misunderstandings, if you will. You know, in education, we are prone to reduce everything to an acronym, right? So our work around culture responsive teaching, CRT, at times has been misinterpreted as cultural race theory, and so critical race theory. And so we really need to start to involve our community in helping them better understand what it is we're trying to accomplish, which is helping our students, as I said, not only see themselves and learn and grow as independent learners, but also see their fellow classmates as individual learners as well. To do that, we are planning in the future to develop a professional learning series, specifically targeting our teacher leaders, our instructional leaders, our coaches, our team leaders and coordinators, to help them guide some of this work for us. We also we've studied within the last month, we've started to hold focus groups with our students to see what it is that they feel like we need to be focusing on, what it is they want to be learning, and we're planning on incorporating those data into our summer curriculum writing workshops. And then also we're at a point now within this work, because we're about 4 years down the road, in that we really need to be much more purposeful about developing a differentiated professional learning plan. We have teachers who have attended virtually every workshop, read every book there is, and we have some that are still kind of exploring those ideas, those from an introductory awareness building, if you will. And we really need to make sure that we provide teachers with opportunities to build on their current schema and to grow within their zones of proximal development. And then finally, and I think this is really going to come out perhaps hopefully in the blueprint conversation, is identifying some clear accountability measures. So we know in a year's time, in 2 years' time, in 5 years' time, the differences that this work is making. All right, Lou, if you move forward. As far, and the second area that my focus was really around family engagement. And again, we're meeting with the district subcommittee on family engagement. We really started to focus on building partnerships with parents and community to support and implement our anti-bias, anti-racist goals, as well as increase family engagement with continued focus on our families who are new to the district. So what we did in service to this work this year was to really take a look at the lens through which our families view our district. One of the entry points, one of the common entry points, if you will, is our district website. And as we stepped back as a committee and we started to take a look at like each one of the individual buildings, not only what did they say about that particular building, but from a family friendly sort of way, we realized very quickly that each one of our buildings, while reflects the culture of that particular building, could be very confusing, especially to families who have students in or children that in multiple buildings. And so we really did that analysis and have talked to our principals about making updates during the summer to really create a more family focused, a more family friendly, if you will, informational environment. And then also the committee supported the creation of a specific section on the district website that's accessible through all of our building level websites that really shares kind of what we've been doing in the field of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and really tries to bring a coherence, if you will, the various bodies of work that Lou has just shared, that Deanna's about to share, that Betsy's about to share, as well as the work through curriculum. Really saying, you know what, we're all headed in the right direction, and here's how all of these elements relate. We also spent some time re-administering our new family survey. The board may recall we did this a few years ago, and we really wanted to reach out again and say, you know, how are we doing with some of the work that we've been done, especially in this year of COVID? And what we found out was that you know, the good news is our students that are new to the district were making connections. Their teachers were going out of their way to make sure they were building relationships, not only with the students, but the students were building relationships with one another. What we did find out, however, is for our new families that it's very difficult. And again, I understand it's been the year of COVID, but even to generalize that out, it's really difficult for new families to meet other new families. You know, there's kind of a culture here that many of our families have been here for a while. They kind of know the ropes. And so for our families new to the district, they really have a tough time meeting with one another. And so we worked very hard with not only the PTSA, but with our parent liaisons, which are from the PTSA, to really think about how we could reach out and really help our new families feel more welcome in Brighton. And then also working with the PTSA around the new family reception, and then supported activities of the subgroup, the diversity, equity, inclusion subgroup of the PTSA as well. So as far as moving forward, again, really wanted to further codify, if you will, the role of the parent liaisons. They are anxious. These are women who are just very excited about the work, the families that they connected with this year, thrilled by the results that they were able to achieve, and felt like that they were, you know, that it was really a valuable service that we are offering. And so we really want to make sure that those connections are made in a more formalized sort of way. We want to look for community partners around town to see how we perhaps can enlist them in helping us to acclimate our new families to the district. And then the other area I felt like that was so incredibly important in talking with the members of our committee, we have a lot of parents on our committee. You know, we talked about like, how do we know that we're making a difference? And really, it all comes back to the students, right? You know, all the research on family engagement really points to the fact that parents want to be actively involved in their child's education and know their child is getting a good education. And to do that, it really is about making additional opportunities to highlight the work of our students and really connect the families with that work to help them feel a better connection to school itself. We will continue to advocate for our district personnel to be active in our various groups, the families of color, the diversity equity subgroup coming out of PTSA, and any other groups that may result as this year's blueprint conversations. And then last is, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, recommendation is to really standardize, you know, how we portray our individual buildings and making sure that the information that parents seek there is user-friendly and it's readily accessible. And I think at this point, I believe I'm turning it over to Deanna.
Thank you. So first of all, I really want to put out a big shout out and a thank you to the members of the Student Engagement Subcommittee. We were 27 members strong together this fall, taking a look at examining potential barriers for student engagement in our extracurricular before school, after school, and evening activities. And we spent some time this fall as a group challenging each other with very, very thoughtful questions to be thinking about also what we weren't. And that included, we were not examining the benefits of extracurricular activities. We were not conducting a program evaluation of our current extracurricular activities, and quite frankly spent some time talking about what is a co-curricular activity, what is an extracurricular activity. But that the group got together and again engaged in some very thoughtful, honest dialogue to this fall develop a survey to put out to parents and to students to gather some data and some information. Parents of students in grades 3 through 12 were given the survey. And then we developed actually 2 additional surveys, a student survey for students in grades 3 through 5, and then another survey for students grades 6 through 12. And Lou, you can go ahead to the next slide. Thank you. We were very pleased with the participation, especially given everything that was going on at the time when this was administered in late February, early March. We actually took a shift in our focus when we sat down to look at the data, and the COVID implications, as much as in our questions that we drafted and crafted, really that theme came through in a lot of our data and a lot of the responses. So you'll see in some subsequent recommendations that we made from there. Another thank you that I need to give is a big shout out to Dan Goldman, who helped facilitate the communication to the community of the survey to parents, help collect the data, and then also help collect the data and review and get it ready for committee review as we looked at, and my committee knows I said the word over and over again, a behemoth amount of data that we put together. The survey was anonymous, and that was done purposefully. We wanted people to feel comfortable to share whatever information they chose to share, including we asked students to respond and families to respond regarding gender, race, if a student was a transfer student, we tried to discern then when they would have joined our school community, and if they had an IEP or a 504. We were pleasantly surprised with the number of the parent responses that only 15% of our parents said that their children did not participate in a district activity. However, what we did generate out of this was further questions, and that'll come up in subsequent recommendations. We did take note that there was a higher rate of students that reported they did participate at the high school level than at TCMS, and we developed some theories about that, either the availability or accessibility of those activities, or simply not knowing what was available to them. Next slide, please. Thank you. So I just wanted to put up a sample of the many questions that parents and students were asked. This is just when we were trying to identify the obstacles This was the criteria that we used. And this is an example of some of the areas and categories that we asked individuals to rate why they might not join an activity. This is only just a small sampling of some of the pieces that we were collecting data on. Next slide, please, Lou. Thank you. And here's some of our findings and some of the common themes. I think before, as you're reading over those, it is important to note that, as I said earlier, the implications around COVID came through because students and parents did have the opportunity to offer and submit their own thoughts or offer additional input that maybe wasn't asked. And the theme around COVID and not being able to participate, not knowing what was out there, not having they couldn't evaluate because, in particular, if you were a 3rd or 4th grader at French Road, you may never have had the opportunity to even know what's there or to participate. The same would hold true for students who were 6th graders at the middle school or 9th graders at the high school. So it put some barriers in place around the survey itself. Another piece is, and we were really thankful for the school staff who made sure that the survey was completed during the school day, which was fabulous because we wanted to make sure it was accessible. That's one of the recommendations moving forward, that we would take a look at setting aside some other time so that at the 6 through 12 level, there could also be teacher support to ensure that the survey was completed and that there weren't any misunderstandings as to what questions we're asking. It was a brief survey. It was didn't take any longer than 10 minutes, so it didn't interrupt instructional time, which was fantastic as well. It was interesting as we look at the common themes. Communication popped up both for students and for parents, and it did seem that parents and students said they didn't know what was available, either because it wasn't communicated to them or they just simply didn't know it was there. And many people did indicate, again, I'm being repetitive, that COVID did impair some of that possibility. So that then fostered some other future recommendations around communication. Some of the pieces, people did indicate they wanted a one-stop location. So that might be a consideration for us to look at the website as opposed to looking at building-based either emails or website information about an activity. Maybe it is on we have a community or a extracurricular activity page, something to consider. Parents did indicate pieces about the timing, and that may be the competition for another activity, as you see here. Homework did come up, or the balance of coursework and other activities to be able to join something else. Students also, again, as I said, identified communication, or we also noticed that some students brought up a lack of skill or confidence to try something new or to try an activity as well. We go ahead to the recommendation page. All of this work and the hours and of data that people poured through really prompted people to think about future other questions that we wanted to dig into more, including talking to students, having focus groups with students. We'd want to do the survey again, to repeat the survey. In particular, really honing in on students who did have, administering the survey to students who would have been able to participate in activities, as opposed to someone who's transitioning to a grade, like grade 6 or grade 9. The committee seemed very strong and committed to wanting to make sure that this happened on an annual basis to gather and compare the data from year to year. There was not any overwhelming data as we disaggregated groups or disaggregated from different subgroups that we identified. There wasn't an overwhelming takeaway from each of the groups that we took a look at. Interestingly enough, in terms of communication, many parents said that there were too many emails. Please stop emailing me. And just as many parents would conversely say, please give me communication via email. That works best for me. It was interesting to see that some students from TCMS suggested activities or clubs that actually might be offered at the high school. So they, again, giving credence to they may not know what is out there, or is that something that we need to explore to broaden what is available to students at the middle school? The high school does put on a activities fair, and this is something that was considered by the group to consider a virtual or a video activities fair that could be accessible to parents on the website. So again, encouraging and fostering the communication of what is available. Using our school tool, or using also school tool and Seesaw that we've been communicating regularly now to put out information about what a club or a meeting time or a change or a location. Using school tool to maintain those rosters of those clubs and activities and really start to focus in on who are the students that are not engaged in activities, and start to come up with comfortable, safe ways for those students to meet with us to get more information about why they might not be participating. And gather that information, consider that feedback, and actually engage them in some of the questions. What do you think we should be asking? That was another piece. The group was marvelous, asked great questions, and it was a lot of data, again, as I already said, and more work to come that we are looking forward to continuing in the fall and continuing to discuss as we look forward to the blueprint work. And I'll turn it over to Betsy. Thank you.
Thank you, Deanna, and it's great to be here with all of you. Congratulations to all the teachers who received tenure, as well as our retirees. So we had a really busy year in regard to supporting student and staff mental health through restorative practices and SEL. Our long-term goals are twofold. We strive to continue to implement restorative practices district-wide and keep building our internal capacity. And additionally, we will continue to learn more about social emotional learning frameworks and continue to implement it K-12. So this year we made some great strides towards reaching our goals. Quite honestly, I didn't realize how grateful I would be for the work we've been doing over the past 2 to 3 years on restorative practices, as we were able to use the basic premises of community building circles in both hybrid and remote learning models. We also kicked off the year with a social emotional learning presentation by instructional specialist Mary Beth Elko, who is from BOCES 1, and our teachers were given great strategies for building relationships that included openings and positive closing activities, as well as ways to include all of our students in their lessons. Our mental health staff worked tirelessly over the summer and into the fall on changing their delivery of services, and we knew that this was really going to be important. This allowed them to continue to meet with students in both groups and individually, and also deliver the classroom lessons that are so important to the development of our students. We also listened to the needs of our faculty and staff in terms of overall wellness, and listened to the needs of our students. And the District Wellness Committee created a wellness suite of resources to address the increased levels of anxiety and stress that was being reported. The teachers also used the wellness suite with their students in the classrooms, and it was something that we didn't intend that as a consequence, but it was a very positive consequence. One of the areas that we realized we needed to improve upon this year was working with the PTSA to share with the community what we were doing in terms of restorative practices and social emotional learning. In response, a team of our district mental health staff and I hosted 2 evening presentations, one in each semester, to not only address mental health issues that our students were experiencing because of the pandemic, but also provided resources that they could access. And finally, the buildings use restorative conversations in working through discipline issues this year. Now, I will say these discipline issues were much lower than in other years, which was a real blessing. And our initial plan for the year was to have admins and mental health staff trained in restorative discipline through Peary, but because it wasn't done face-to-face and so many of us have gone through these trainings, we felt that it would be better to wait and to do this in 21-22 when we could all be face-to-face. Go ahead, Lou. So I realized that what we do going forwards in terms of restorative practices and SEL will be talked about in greater detail at the district blueprint meeting on June 25th. But I wanted to share some of the recommendations from our district mental health team and mental health steering committee for how we want to proceed next year. So for restorative practices, I'm really excited to say that we'll be having members of our district mental health team and administrators trained in restorative discipline in August. Peary has agreed to come to Brighton to do this training, and we have a combination of 15 mental health staff and admins that will be trained. We will then work with our mental health steering committee throughout the year for implementing restorative discipline district-wide. Also new is that we will now have, as part of induction for our new hires, a session on restorative practices and the process for running community building circles. This is something I will present to the new hires on along with another member of our mental health team. And we want to make sure that all of our new hires are aware of the general language around community building circles, how to utilize it, and when you speak it more and more, it just shows how much we value it, and that's really important. We'll also have our building level restorative practices teams resume this year, even though we're not going to be in the same place that we were last year, thank goodness, as we reopen. We realize there are many students who have been out of school for a very long time learning remotely. Establishing and reestablishing connections for these students, as well as bringing all students back face-to-face 5 days will be different, and the need for building community is going to be more important now than ever before. For social emotional learning, we want to use it both to re-engage students and to support our faculty and staff. We will be offering 2 sessions of professional development through the Teacher Center, and we're looking forward to having Mary Beth Elko come back to present once again. One of the sessions will be offered in July and the other in August. There will be a K-5 session and also a 6-12 session. Mary Beth will then offer a series of SEL sessions throughout the school year, probably 6 to 8 sessions, for those teaching assistants, faculty, staff, admins, anyone who is interested. And I have to say that I have been part of an SEL leaders community since last March, led by Mary Beth Elko. And I can tell you that the truly transformative SEL starts to happen when you're taught a concept, you go out, you practice, and then you come back and you ask questions about it and you learn a little bit more. It's truly changed my lens. We'll also continue to explore SEL screening tools to use K-12. There are many out there on the market, but we want to make sure they measure what we need here in Brighton. And this work will be done through the Mental Health Steering Committee. And finally, we want to continue to be mindful of the needs of our staff and how to support them as they re-engage with students as the school year begins. We know that last year was so difficult for everyone, including our staff. We all went through a trauma for sure, and we want to make sure they're supported. We want to be mindful of our staff mental health, and we'll use the building level wellness committees to help create community and connections amongst the staff members. The pandemic has been hard on everyone, and just because our numbers are getting lower doesn't mean that it won't have lasting effects. And I also wanted to add that for both restorative practices and SEL, one of the things that we need to work on is how are we going to measure the effectiveness of both, because it's really important to have some way of doing that.
I'm sorry, is that my home internet that's unstable, or is Betsy frozen?
I think Betsy's frozen.
Betsy's
Okay.
frozen.
I was making sure because I'm getting unstable internet connection here, so, okay. Betsy, are you back? Did we lose her?
It looks like the school must be. Who's in the school building? Everybody who's at school might have gone out.
No. It appears that way. It looks like the wireless actually quit.
I think.
Didn't we tell them we were going past 8:30 tonight?
Betsy, I'm sorry I cut you off.
Can't
Do you
be
need me
out
to
too
go
late.
back?
Oh, there she is.
Lou, you paid the bill, correct? Just want to double check.
I will double check, but I'm pretty sure I did.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, Bets.
Where did you lose me?
At the slide.
Measurement.
You were just saying in conclusion. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not sure.
Because
You were
I
talking-
went through, I
That's
did it
what you were-
all, so I didn't realize it had cut out. I'm sorry.
That's you were talking about measurement was going to be really important.
It was like your last bullet.
Oh, good. Okay. Do you want me to just finish my last sentence?
Please.
Sure.
Okay. So I believe what I was saying is that it's going to be really important to figure out a way to measure the effectiveness of restorative practices and social emotional learning. And, figuring out exactly how to do that, I think that's the $1 million question for a lot of districts right now. And so that's something that we're going to definitely have to try to tackle with our mental health steering committee and make sure that we can, measure it and what is the measurable data that we're looking at. And that's it?
Thank you, Beth.
Sure.
So that wraps up our blueprint updates, correct, Dr. McGowan?
It does.
Well, thank you all very, very much. And I think that one of the things that's quite amazing when you sit and listen and go through those slides, and of course we had material had been given to us also earlier, but we talk about blueprint all the time, but we also tend to forget the depth and the breadth of the work. And it is really incredible where we are on all of those topical areas and how much has been accomplished this year, especially under all the difficult circumstances. So thank you for all of the leaders of those committees and those efforts, pushing us along, carrot and stick, and sometimes more stick than we need, but getting us going and keeping us going. So thank you so much, and thank you for the updates. And again, we can point to community members who are interested in any or all of that area around Blueprint if they want to know more detail. We'll make sure that everything's posted online and they can take a look through it. So, okay, we'll move to our report section this evening. Item 8A, financial reports. Board members, we have in our meeting packet information the June 9th budget status update report from Lou. Included is the treasurer's report for the period ending April 30th, 2021. One item that is included in Lou's budget status report has to do with reserve funds, and we're going to talk a little bit about that plan in a moment. So does anyone have any questions of Lou with those two documents? Then may we have a motion to accept those reports, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Karen, seconded by Larry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's 7 in favor and none opposed. Thank you. Our student representative report. So tonight we say thank you and goodbye to Stella. And Stella, you're going to introduce us to the representative for next year, correct?
Correct. Hi, everyone. I know it's been a while since I've been able to do a report, so I have a lot of updates. The end of the school year is always a busy, exciting time. Throughout the entire month of May, students were taking AP exams, which is less than ideal because it took away from class time and it kind of extended stress for the students. But all the exams went really smoothly and we're done now, so yay. After exams, most teachers assigned large, often research-based projects. While the assignments were very creative and I personally enjoyed a lot of the work, I think it's important to mention that having a major project in every class can sometimes feel like a lot, and next year it might be helpful for teachers to confer with each other before giving out assignments so they don't all end up being due on the same days. I really liked how some teachers asked kids what we wanted to do with our remaining few weeks of school, and that definitely made it more enjoyable for us. We were also lucky enough to have relatively normal spring sports seasons. Personally, I'm on the track team, and I think this was the best season of my high school career. Shout out Coach Times, who was on here earlier. Amazing coach. We were reflecting at our banquet, and all the coaches and athletes were sharing memories and getting pretty emotional, which I think is really a testament to how grateful we are to have had a season. We really made the most of it, and I think everyone is going to go into next school year with the same attitude of gratitude and excitement. I know a lot of people, both students and teachers, were upset that we couldn't go back to full in-person school. Learning took a huge hit. Clubs took a huge hit. Attendance at meetings has been down, and we're currently fighting to save some of the clubs. However, staying consistent with a hybrid model all year long allowed students to continue with the schedule that they had become accustomed to, and it definitely had benefits on the mental health side, including more time to sleep and more time to relax. One thing no one is going to miss are the Zoom Wednesdays. A lot of students, especially upperclassmen, have just stopped attending the calls, which is a little sad now. They're kind of depressing now. So we're all very happy that tomorrow is the last one. We're also so grateful for the opportunity to have our senior end of year events. Student Council is currently working on gathering more feedback about ball, banquet, and bash. I personally had a great time at all these events, and we could tell how hard the organizers worked to make these nights special. So thank you so much to everyone who helped out, and we're excited for Springfest and graduation. We just finished our exec council and our class council elections, and I'm sure everyone who was elected will do a fantastic job in their role. I'm super excited to introduce the Board of Education rep for next year, Lila Munger, who is here tonight. Lila, no pressure, but if you want to say a few words, go ahead, and thank you all for listening.
Okay, hi everyone, I'm Lila, and I'm a junior. I run cross country, and I also participate in track and field. I second all of Stella's words about it. Great program, I love it so much. I also participate in Model UN, and I have two dogs, Tucker and Tobin. They're like my best friends. That's pretty much it, but I'm super excited to be next year's rep, and I'll work hard to pay attention to everyone's views. And yeah, thank you for having me.
Well, that's wonderful. Both of you, thank you, Stella, for your service. We appreciate it. We've really appreciated your reports this year, your unique viewpoint, what you brought, and so we do thank you and wish you the very best moving forward. Lila, welcome. Mrs. Lazafame will be in touch with you on board meeting schedules and all that type of thing. So welcome. Thank you for joining in, and look forward to your reports next year also. So thank you. We'll move on. Board of Education, Monroe County School Boards Association. Standing committees are pretty much completed. Labor Relations and Information Exchange wrapped up, and I believe we've reported out on everything there. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody? I think we're done. Legislative Committee, we added an extra meeting. We did meet on June 2nd, and we met with our two members of the Board of Regents. It was a very insightful hour and a half almost we spent with them. Wade Norwood and Ruth Turner. Ruth Turner was named to the Board of Regents this year. You know, we enjoy a bit of a unique situation here in our area with two regents who live here from this area, and they are always very, very willing to meet with the School Boards Association. So it was a very helpful discussion. Much of it was spent around the regents' directives around diversity, equity, and inclusion, and some of the difficulties in some parts of the state that some school boards are having with their own communities around some of the topical information. So it was a great discussion, a great conversation, and gave us an opportunity to meet Ruth. Most people in the room had not met her before. BOCES report, we do have a report from Sora. It will be in the meeting minutes. She submitted it a while back. And I will add, Sora and Marv, while they had a little difficult time connecting to check in with us before, they're at a BOCES dinner this evening honoring Sora for her service. And again, we want to make note. I mean, Sora, 20 years as a BOCES board member, and if you add that to Marv's 30 years, I mean, one couple with 50 years of combined service to a school district is quite incredible. So we continue to thank them and wish them well moving forward. Other board member reports, we did have audit committee prior to this meeting. Larry and Karen and I met with Dahlia and with Lou. We also met with our internal and external auditors, representatives from those two firms. Larry, Karen, did you want to add? We are going to talk a little bit about reserve plan document that we did discuss. Do either one of you want to report out on highlights there?
I would just say that overall, the auditors used the term very clean 4 different times, and I noted that. And that's hats off to both Lou and Dahlia and the team for as good as we have always been. They've continued to improve. Our processes are very tight. They're more electronic, so they're easier to control and observe. But just overall in really good shape in that regard.
Thank you.
Yep, I concur. What I take away from audit committee all the time is how impressed the outside auditors are with Lou and Dahlia and their staff and the hard work that they do to make sure that we are up to date on policies and procedures.
Excellent point. Yeah, and we do very fortunate in Brighton in that finance office and all the folks there under Lou's leadership. And you're right, both of our audit firms have praised us for where we are and what we've done in terms of managing debt. And we have gone out to the bond market now twice based on capital needs over the past few years. And because of our status and because of how we're reflected in the market, our ability to borrow money is quite incredible. And the rate that we're able to manage that debt at is quite a bit lower than was originally planned. So there's huge savings there to be seen over the next very long period of time. So thank you both for service this year on audit committee, and we'll look forward in a moment to talking a little bit further about the reserve plan. Any other board member reports? Is anything else that any other board member has to bring up this evening?
Just from a construction standpoint, Mark, we had our typical end of the month construction meeting. Council Rock's in great shape, very much in the home stretch. I'm told that both John Novelli, who does an excellent job with the buildings over there, and Principal Tappan have tested all the elements of the new swing set, jungle gym, playground, and everything is working correctly. I don't have pictures of that, but if I can obtain them, I will. But all of our projects, the bleachers are going into the cafetorium in French Road. We're very much in the home stretch over the next couple months. Just really proud of all the buildings folks, Kevin over at Fred's, just everybody, Rob Luce, Dave Luce, all of the building technicians who've been working with these contractors, sometimes while school's in session, sometimes on the weekend at night. We just have an unbelievable team from Lou's perspective involved in this building work. They work great with the principals. All the principals have been very supportive. But I think this community is going to be really proud. Obviously, Council Rock's the centerpiece, but there's been a lot of work done in all of these schools, and it's really money well spent. We've dramatically improved the learning environment for our kids.
Thank you very much, Larry, and great recognition of all that have been involved in those capital projects. Other board members, anything further to add this evening?
Briefly, Mark, you and I attended the District Safety Committee meeting, and an interesting update for board members and anyone watching is we sort of were able to get off COVID a little bit and talk about some other issues. And so addressing sexual assault and concerns about that, there's sort of been a call for like a more robust platform for reporting. And so we have the Safe Schools Helpline, but it has become not very simple in an app-based world. And so we're looking into a new app-based reporting product where students or staff or anyone can report quickly with an app on assault, bullying, and different categories of abuses that they can report. And so that was something very interesting and new to discuss. But it was a good meeting.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Sue. Great ad. More to come on that from Lou and his folks. We had a great discussion about that and multiple ways needed to be able to report for students and staff. So thank you. Anybody have anything else this evening? Okay, then we will move on to our Brighton Teachers Association report. Nicole, welcome.
Hi, how's everybody holding up?
We're great.
I promise it won't be too crazy. So the BTA actually participated, I don't know how many years this is, but in the Adopt a Highway program during May. We had retirees come out. Judy Wegman, of course, came, and that was a really nice piece to be visible in the community as the teachers. At Council Rec, Ms. Sayre, Mrs. Orbeck have been using the alphabet to count down to the last day of school. They've had career day, experiment day, game day. We're having a really good time. If you have not looked at the board report yet, I'm really going to encourage you to look at Miss Stack's photographs that I put in there. I couldn't not put any in. They were pretty remarkable. So Miss Stack is one of our teachers, and she had 4 baby chicks in her classroom. And in her classroom, they had different activities that they did, chatting with chicks. Each student was a farmer of the day, and they were responsible for the chicks while they were there. They researched the life cycle of a chicken, wrote nonfiction books, picked a breed of a chicken that they wanted to research, and then all sorts of math exploration. And the photographs are simply wonderful of the measurements of the chicks. So they use standard and non-standard. So there's an amazing picture of a chick with a stack of linking cubes. It's really, really magical. And weighing them in the scales, it was a really special piece for that group of learners. Mrs. Youngman's class, 2nd grade, had a poetry cafe. They took responsible risks and recited their poems. They did haikus, acrostic, diamantes, and quains. A big shout out to Eric Gruner, who recorded each child, and then they were able to post it online. There was also the amazing Kristen Cooper, created a virtual play day because we couldn't have play day, and sent out activities, 10 different activities to families where you could have your own play day at home. And again, huge shout out to Eric Gruner for recording all of that. There's a link for the video in the board report if you haven't had a chance to look at it. At French Road, they have been wrapping up social justice lessons. They looked at the history of racism, understanding cultural and religious implications in the cafeteria, examined stereotypes, and embraced medical or mental health conditions. Ina Sham and the mental health staff put the project together, and Ryan Darling from 12 Corners cut wood squares, and they made an Underground Railroad quilt out of wood squares. So there's some really beautiful photographs of what they created. Carrie Moulton, I really encourage you to click on this link. Carrie Moulton's 3rd grade class tackled the ugly courtyard in the 3rd grade wing, and they made it beautiful. Families made donations of soil, plants, garden beds, mulch, mussel, and she created this hysterical video of the project. It starts out hysterical and ends up pretty magical. So hopefully you can click on that link if you haven't already. Ms. Harp, the technology classes are meeting, and the separate cohorts are studying ants and building colony models. And I'm assuming, Allison, that the ants have arrived based from when she did this, and they are using an LED powered ant farm, and they're going to compare the models that they made to real structures that the ants created. Mrs. Maz remote class took their last field trip together to Meridian Center Park. So she's been having her class meet and do outdoor activities, and they learned about geocaching. Some of the other field trips they've done this year are ice skating. They rented a movie theater, just themselves, glow stick tag, and a hike. Frez Instrumental Music finished the year with projects and concerts. 4th grade band recorded concerts that were posted to YouTube, and the 5th grade band had their final concert outside at the soccer field, and that's from Chris Dozer. All right, we're moving on to 12 Corners, halfway there. 12 Corner student, the TCMS Strong student leaders led a virtual presentation on bullying called Be an Upstander for 6th grade students. They focused on how to be an upstander, and the leaders presented short videos and discussions to kind of model how you might solve difficult situations. For the first time in over a year, 12 Corners orchestra bands and show choir performed live for an audience. They were very grateful that they could share the music with their families and loved ones. Casey Shapiro and Lynn Bell had 2 presenters come into 7th grade social studies, 2 FBI agents, and I want to make sure I say their titles correctly. Assistant Special Agent in Charge Jeremy Bell and Supervisory Special Agent Kristen Gibney came in to talk, and they talked about how they actually use the Constitution in their work. They went over the Bill of Rights, what it looks like in the real world, what has to happen in order to get a search warrant, what they can and can't do. And this tied into the social studies, connected it to the end of the Revolutionary War and how the government started to write the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. They also went over cyber safety, social media safety. They recorded the Zoom for the remote students so that they could also participate. And there's a nice picture of that. 3rd grade and remote and 6th grade remote had a collaboration. So Mrs. Shank and Miss Katsetos, they wrote fables with each other. And Mrs. Tufts. So they collaborated together. In lieu of the district strings orchestra concert, the 512 students did a What Music Means to Me video compilation project. They used tech to record songs, and then they compiled everything together. Kids also provided artwork, and then 4 members of the string faculty also performed. There's a link to the YouTube of that. Mrs. Moran's class has been very busy. They worked on teen workplace readiness skills. They also learned resume writing, interview skills, labor laws. They learned how to tie ties. So there's some pretty awesome pictures of kids learning how to tie a tie if they needed to wear one. They learned email etiquette. Made dog cookies for Lollipop Farm, so there's some cute pictures of all that. They also made models of rooms, so they made model bedrooms, and there's some cute model bedrooms. Onto the high school, trapezoid, so this is from Molly Hilly, I didn't actually write this. They again won the first place Scholastic Newspaper Award from the American Scholastic Press Association, so way to go, trapezoid. And from Karen Flynn, the BHS and speech and debate team had a great season. They finished, and I've listed all the winners there, but one of the great pieces was 2 students were the first students from Brighton to have triple octo finals, and they've never been able to go that far in a national final. So congratulations to them. And then the last piece from Brighton High School is from AP Environmental Science. So Dr. Smith, they have been using a geographic information system to map heat islands. So they're looking at urban heat, and they are measuring the air temperature. So I put 2 of the maps of the air temperature and then measured it as to see how much hotter it was where there weren't trees. And then what they're also doing is they're mapping all the they're trying to map trees in Brighton to show that having trees will reduce not only costs, but will make life much better. There's a lot of nice science pieces that Dr. Smith wrote that I'm not going to mutilate trying to pronounce. And if you are more interested in this topic, you can definitely look it up. But they made this really awesome kind of nutritional label for trees and the benefits that you could get from trees. And they're trying to do that for each type of tree and then around the neighborhood. And that's it.
Thank you very much, Nicole. Thank you for your reports all year. They've been lively and entertaining, and thank you for all the pictures that you include in the actual report that you send us. So thank you so much. Next, we'll move on to the PTSA report. Welcome, Eleanor, and also Eleanor is our rep, but also the incoming PTSA president. Welcome.
Thanks, Mark. And as my first announcement in the PTSA report for this month, that the elections were held last month, and the new executive committee is I will be president, and our vice president is Manish Dixit, and our secretary will be Jonita Anthony. They've all been very actively involved in the PTSA for years, and we're really excited to have them on board, as well as some wonderful new building chairs and lots of other people joining us. End of year celebrations actually happened, and it was lovely and wonderful to see. The schools and the PTSA had helped plan things even for the remote students and involving them. Last weekend, or a weekend before last, we had a successful transition with 8th graders and the bonfire returning to 12 Quarters Middle School. They did have the senior bash last weekend on Saturday night. Lots of great activities. Provided hypnotist, inflatables, laser tag, another bonfire to bring back the bonfire from the middle school days, tarot card reading, henna artist, DJ long games. It was really just a great night. I volunteered at the end cleaning up, and they had a lot of fun. I could see them all out there signing yearbooks and everything else. The food truck rodeo was a big success. Planning to maintain the tradition and planning one for the first day of school, so look out for that. We are definitely, as always, looking for more volunteers and people who have great ideas going into next year. We want to continue the traditions, but also bring in some new. I am leaving as the Board of Education rep. We have reached out to some people, and so we should be announcing who the new incoming person is soon. Kim, I will make sure you know. And other than that, it has been a pleasure coming and presenting to you all this year, and thank you. And I look forward to all of those blueprint things where you said involve the PTSA more. Please email or call me, and I'm happy to work with any of you. So thanks so much, everyone.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Eleanor. We appreciate it. Thank you for your service this year. Dr. McGowan, Superintendent's report.
I will go quickly. I see the looks of anxiety when people see several slides. I promise you this is just a quick guide. So first of all, thank you to everybody for their grace, their patience, their understanding, everything they've done to make these end of year events fantastic, the work that the PTSA has done, the work that our leaders and staff have done to really adjust to all the changing dynamics and make it happen. We're finishing it up. Great events and great opportunities to watch kids engage in their what is as close to possible normal experiences, and it's really gratifying to see. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about reopening, the longer term, what's happening with Brookside, and say multiple times again to our community, thank you. First of all, in terms of finishing up, Bash was amazing, and you've heard about a lot of these things. Outdoor ed, fantastic and adjusted and different. 8th grade closure was dynamite. The senior awards program is coming up. Graduation is going to be incredible. Families will get some notice from Dr. Hall tomorrow around some changes with regard to that, all in the good and the positive. In other words, people won't have to bring a test. They won't have to get tested. They won't have to show proof of vaccination. Some of those things have shifted, and Dr. Hall will get that information out tomorrow. Lots of great picnics, gatherings, and opportunities for closure and people to kind of reconnect here as we finish the year. And just a comment, masking, no masking, what's that all about? People heard enough about it last weekend. I'm not going to get into more detail other than we will not be changing between now and the end of the year. Outdoors, we're not masking. Indoors, we are. That won't change. And the masking outdoors for some large events still exists, where it just feels like a better solution for us when we don't have vaccination status and people are in events where they congregate much closer together. For example, prom coming up this weekend, we'll still ask for that given the size of that event. Reopening. May this be the first and last time that I put Ferris Bueller up on the screen, but we are still asking for feedback from the state of New York and looking for information as to what reopening will look like. We missed the number for 6 through 12 by about 3 days. We are now in the yellow. We don't know what will come next, but generally this is what we're thinking at this point. Remote instruction is not likely to be mandated and not likely to be a widely available option. In other words, it will be the district's choice, and the district will set up criteria for that, and it will only be permitted, allowed, and provided in the most extreme of circumstances. It is not the ideal environment, as Stella pointed out to us tonight. Teachers have done a fantastic job of lifting the brick and mortar to the virtual space, innovating, designing, thinking differently about instruction, but we know it's not the ideal solution for kids to access their instruction. So in some very rare circumstances, we will look to leverage what we've learned this year, but it will not be common. Masking is still uncertain. It may depend on age level, the activity people are involved in, and vaccination status. The daily health attestation, I think, will be gone, as will testing and kind of the other restrictions. They're likely to be different and probably dependent on the infection rate at the time, which is dropping lower and lower. But throughout the year, I could see that adjusting based on infection rate if it goes up. We're hoping for micrometrics. Over the last several weeks, we've had 1 case per week in our entire 3,600 student district. And we'd like that to be recognized in the work so that we're not closing because of something that happens 4 districts away on the other side of the county. It may be much closer to normal than it has been for quite some time. People are already feeling that way. Important to point out that even though the governor announced today all sorts of changes and restrictions based on the 70% vaccination rate, that did not apply to schools. Let me be really clear. That did not apply to schools. We will keep you posted. We've asked. We sound like we're in that movie scene, Bueller, just waiting for a response. We'll let you know as soon as we know. Blueprint coming up. Priority areas in 2019 to 20 looked like this: systems, mental health and wellness, and rigorous coursework, academic rigor for all students. And we were humming along. We hit the brakes in 2021 and had to really focus on the 2 most important topics in that moment, which was diversity, equity, inclusion, and reopening. This year, we're going to revisit our priority areas. They've never gone away. They just weren't directly addressed in the plan as we tried to really narrow our focus last year. But we're thinking about how diversity, equity, inclusion, and pandemic recovery is actually a lens through which we need to look at all of our priorities. And it's not standalone. It's not an event. It weaves its way through everything that we do. With our plan being next year, 22-23, to look at how we can refresh, revise, think about, and revisit our mission, our vision, and our core values and our priority areas. Are we still in the same place, or do we need to adjust those? And we'll think about that again going into next year. Brookside has been a topic of conversation. As many people are aware, the board has contemplated and been involved in the process of selling Brookside following an unexpected but important opportunity. And just a couple key points for the whole community to know. First, a lot of information went out at the end of last week to the whole community following a meeting with the Evans Farm neighborhood. Actually, anybody could have come, but many were residents from that area. There's video of that meeting and a frequently asked question document, other materials as well related to that sale. It's really thinking about it in terms of Brookside itself being a significant financial, the sale of it being a significant financial benefit, a liability converted into an asset that could greatly benefit the district. For one, the capital needs in that building, so the types of things we have to do to improve that facility over time, are not aided. It's just a cost to taxpayers, number one. Number two, we've been approached by the Talmudic Institute. They are the purchaser involved in the sale. The board at their last meeting adopted the letter of intent, very public document that is included in the materials that went home and are posted on the website. We believe this is the ideal purchaser, again, using the building in its original intent as a school building. And don't forget that the building became surplus to us after the 2017 capital project vote, and the process that led up to that determined Brookside was too expensive to renovate to become a new K2 building, and that we devote resources to Council Rock becoming that space. Important for people to know that Council Rock was built with the ability to expand the facility. In other words, the footers and the structure on the new wing can be expanded to a second floor if we had some exponential growth, which we don't anticipate in this community. It would take a lot, but we would be able to do that. And we have significant amount of property at the French Road campus as well that could be expanded if we ever needed to. So we're very confident that this is truly a surplus with a significant liability. The purchase price that is in the letter of intent is over $4 million. Remember, that property only nets $40,000 a year in revenue for the district. That doesn't mean it's not important in the community relative to the green space, relative to the tenants that are there, including the Montessori School, Jewish Family Services, and of course, Brighton Recreation and the Senior Center. We've been talking to them for quite a long time about the need to look for additional space should this sale progress. We recently discussed, as I mentioned, the concerns with Evans Farm, and happy to answer any questions. Please reach out, let us know so we can go through information with you if you so desire to have more detail. And finally, once again, thank you to the community for their patience, their grace, their kindness, their support. We're ending on a high note. We're in a good place. We're prepared to come back and resume some normal life and excited to do that next year and planning for that going into the summer. It's an exciting time. It's an exhausting time. People are ready to be done, but also ready to get back to what we all know and love as our normalcy that's so important here. Thanks very much. Any questions from the board for me? Not at this time of night. Nobody asks questions at the end of graduate school.
I think you've got it covered, but I appreciate your text. I think that's a great idea to add principal reports tonight, as long as we're all together and it's the end of the year. So we'll go ahead and do that. But anyway,
I'd like to give one more update. I meant to lead with this because it's all over the news, but Brighton grad Ernie Clement, his first major league hit in his first major league start this evening for the Cleveland Indians. So congratulations to Ernie. A great ball player, an even better person and student. Was a joy to watch here and to follow his career. We're so excited for Ernie. He's been a great example to young people throughout our community of hard work and perseverance and really sticking to it and being a good human all along the way. So congratulations to Ernie and thank you, everyone.
it's great. It's great news and fine young man. You're right, Kevin. So thank you. And good thing you downloaded that MLB app on your phone there to keep track of that tonight.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
All right, a few more items of business this evening. A motion, please, for approval of the resolution authorizing Monroe 2 Orleans BOCES to act as a purchasing agent for the Brighton Central School District.
So moved.
Second.
That was Sue. Did you move that? Yeah, thank you. And seconded by Julene. Again, this is just something we do. We have to authorize for the next year, cooperative bidding through the BOCES system. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That is approved. 7 in favor and none opposed. We'll ask Lou for a brief update, but first of all, please, a motion to approve the reserve fund plan document dated for June 2021, please.
So moved.
Approve, or motion by Karen and second by Andrea, I think.
Mark, hold on, just
about that one. Lou,
Mark, can you hold on 1 second? Lou, did you have anything you need to add?
No. I thought he wanted me to say something about it.
Yeah,
I'm happy to have them approve it.
Oh, you're hitting the brakes. Sorry.
No, we have the motion. We have the motion and the second. So go ahead, Lou. I'm sorry.
Oh, my apologies. No, just a brief overview. So the document, what that does is it outlines the purpose of the reserve, the impact on the long financial plan. It shows the current reserve balance and the useful life, how we've used the reserve, and then the authorizations, what the board is actually authorizing is transferred not to exceed amounts. So what we put forth is recommendations on how to fund the reserves and give the rationale in this document, which we post to our website. Just of note, very quickly, we pretty much but we're up to the cap of what we can fund our capital reserves. And we've typically done that. We've set aside year-end funds to offset future borrowings and to invest in our facilities. We're at the maximum for those reserves. So instead of funding those capital reserves for long-term investment, what we're proposing to do at the bottom of the document is to transfer that money to capital to reduce future borrowings. So the debt for the 2017 capital improvement project, the BFIP project, we can defer or offset future borrowings to close out the project with cash contributions. And then the 21-22 capital project, we can offset some of the need to borrow for that by transferring cash, again, to the benefit of the taxpayers and reducing the local share. Just another strategy on how to think of and maintain long-term stability in our investment in capital.
All right, thank you, Lou. And as was mentioned earlier, audit committee reviewed this plan with Lou. We provided the document. The entire board has had it in one note, and our auditors were in the discussion with us earlier. This is a very prudent approach, as Lou mentioned. We're at the limit on capital project reserve funds, which is excellent because that can help us moving forward. By applying it to some of the debt that we have outstanding will help us also in interest costs, and again, return dollars back into the district. So it's a very prudent plan. It's also prudent from a standpoint of short, medium, and long term, which is really, I think, kudos to Lou. He's been that way ever since he came here, in our discussions about planning, financial planning, is looking at the long view also, and not in a situation where a roller coaster situation up and down every year. So the audit committee fully endorsed the approach. Does anyone have any questions or further comment? Any board members? Hearing none, then all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That's motion passes 7 in favor and none opposed. Item number 11, please, a motion for approval of professional services contract for our architects and engineers and construction management services.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Julene, seconded by Sue. Again, we have this document as prepared by Lou on June 7th. This is for the professional services moving forward. Construction manager and our architects, engineers, the people that we already work with, SEI and campus construction, moving forward under a very similar arrangement. Does anyone have anything further question to ask of Lou or comment? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That's carried, 7 in favor and none opposed. Motion, please, for approval of the professional service contract for district vending services.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Larry, seconded by Julene. As you can see by that document in your packet, it's fairly straightforward. It's not a huge item, but it does manage our district vending services and is very beneficial to the district. Question, comment? Does anybody have anything? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? It's 7 in favor and none opposed. Thank you. A motion, please, to approve the cooperative agreement for shared food service director.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Sue, seconded by Julene. As you've seen and as you know, Nicole Vandermeet, our food service director, we entered into a cooperative arrangement to share her services with East Rochester School District, and this continues that with some slight adjustment. This has worked out to be very beneficial for all involved. Does anybody have any question, comment on that arrangement? And then hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And that would be approved, 7 in favor and none opposed. Motion, please, to approve a tentative agreement with the Brighton Educational Paraprofessional Association.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Andrea and seconded by Christina. Again, ongoing labor relations settlements with Lou involved. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's 7 in favor and none opposed. And then we also have a number that you see there, item number 15, which involves 7 of our subgroups, if you will. Motion, please, for approval of employment contract extensions with all of those units that you see listed on the agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Larry, seconded by Christina. Again, we have this material and information, ongoing efforts to keep our employees and their contracts up to speed and moving forward. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Agenda item number 16, approval, a motion, please, to approve a contract amendment for the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Julene, seconded by Andrea. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? 7 in favor and none opposed. That motion carries. Item number 17, a motion, please, for approval of the individual employment contracts for our Assistant Superintendent for Administration and the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction.
So moved.
Moved by Karen and seconded by Sue. Any further comment, discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That is approved, 7 in favor and none opposed. Item number 18, one motion, please, to cover bids for all of the items A through H that you see right there. These are cooperative bids through the BOCES system for music equipment and supplies, school lunch, beverages, bread, food, ice cream, desserts, natural gas supplies, milk and juice, and fresh produce.
Can
So
I just
maybe
say
the
for a
motion-
minute, I'm glad, Mark, to see one of your final acts as board president is to make sure we all have ice cream next year. So thank you.
It's the least I can do.
So moved, by the way.
What about cake? What about the cupcakes we keep talking about? They're not in here anywhere,
I
right?
think Kevin owes us those.
A motion, please, to approve those bids.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Julene and seconded by Larry. Everyone's getting a little punchy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Christina, I wanted to second the ice cream. Sorry about that.
I figured.
All right, now we do have a couple of policy items. Item 19, approval of second read policies. May I have a motion, please, for the second read approval, policy 3000, community relations on transgender and gender nonconforming.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Julene and seconded by Christina. This, you'll recall, was approved as a first read to update language and information, mostly specifically around bathroom and locker room facilities. We don't have any additional changes or additions to that policy. Does anyone have anything further for discussion this evening? If not, we'll call the question and it will become approved on a second read in policy. Kevin, did you have something you wanted to add?
Well, I just would make a comment about both of them, actually.
Okay.
And I agree with Karen. I love that ice cream is on your list among your last items. But I also would like to point out that these two policies are the last policies that you're acting on. You're going to have a lot of lasts, by the way, Mark. But, you know, they're both just key to who we are, right? So the policy 3000, transgender and gender nonconforming, has been at the core of us saying to human beings, we love you for who you are, support you for who you are, who you say you are, and we will be there for you. And we will create an environment that is warm and welcoming and supportive, whatever that may be for you as an individual. And the second, equity, inclusivity, and diversity in education policy is an extensive policy with very clear language about our commitment to this work. And it represents work that we've been engaged in for quite a long time, but also supports that work and holds us accountable for continuing along that journey, not a destination. So I love the notion that in a spirit that you have led us over a period of time, those are the last two policies that you are calling the question to, and I wanted to point that out.
Well, thank you very much, Kevin. And these are, we'll talk about them both. They are who we are. We've worked on these areas in education for a long time, and we've come a long way. We're not perfect. It's ongoing work, but we can all be very proud of where we are and where the commitment that we are making to make sure this is embedded in everything that we do, not set off at a separate table or in a separate file. So thank you. I'll call the question on policy 3000 then. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That policy is passed, 7 in favor and none opposed on second read and will become policy within the district. Motion please for policy second read approval, policy 3422, equity, inclusivity, and diversity in education.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Karen, seconded by Christina. And this, we did have one brief update. There is a clarification added since the first read around district committee, district-wide committee, and building committees as appropriate. No other additional comments have been received or additional changes have been made. Does anybody have anything further on that? And again, reiterating, it's a wonderful policy. It's a start. It's who we are. This work is already well embedded. The policy then aligns to sort of meet up with where we are and where we're headed. All in favor? Aye. That's anyone opposed? That's 7 in favor and unopposed. Again, proudly saying that that policy is approved on second reading, becomes part of district policy. A motion please for item number 20, approval of adoption of the State of New York Deferred 457 Compensation Plan.
So moved.
Second.
I believe that was Sue, and I'll call Larry as a second on that. This is just an additional item for our staff, an opportunity for them to continue to add to their retirement options. It's not a cost to the district. It's just an additional avenue for folks to be able to build a retirement plan through the 457 plan. So all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? It's approved, 7 in favor and none opposed. Item 21, please motion to approve a dual agreement between the Brighton Central School District and a particular employee.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Andrea, seconded by Larry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? It's 7 in favor and none opposed. Our consent agenda this evening. May we have a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
So moved.
Moved by Julene and seconded by Larry. Includes 4 items that are gifts this evening. We appreciate Sabas Learning, a gift to Brighton High School for gift cards totaling $50, a gift from Scott McNitt of the Mapex Saturn Series drum set to Brighton High School Music Department, a gift from the Rochester Area Community Foundation, the amount of $1,000 to the district, made possible through the David Beato Memorial Scholarship Fund, and also a gift from the Rochester Area Community Foundation in the amount of $1,754.71 to the district, made possible through the T.J. Sullivan Memorial Fund. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 7 in favor and none opposed. Oh, Kevin texted me again, said never mind the principal report, so we're all set. Any further items of business this evening? You raise your voice at your own peril.
I just want to say one more time, thank you, Mark.
Thank you. I mean, that's all I'll say. Thank you to everybody. It's been a pleasure. It really has. It's been an honor and a privilege. And I couldn't have a better group of folks to spend the last 15 years with. So thank you all so much. I truly appreciate it. The board reconvenes and meets again on July 1st, 9 a.m. in a virtual mode to reorganize for the next school year. I will be with you in spirit.
And Mark, the meeting will take as long as it takes.
Thanks.
I thought it was July 1st already, actually.
We go over midnight, we have to reapprove because of the timeline. But anyway, thank you all, everybody. Thank you for hanging in there this evening. Esther is still with us, so that means she's going to be great joining the board. She did not recline on that bed behind her, so we appreciate that. Thank you so much, everybody. A motion, please, to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Julene, seconded by Christina. Seconded by everybody.
That's fine.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Not my wife, I'll tell you. 7 in favor and none opposed. Thank you, everybody. We are adjourned for this evening. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Good night, Mark. Good night.
This has been a special presentation from the Brighton Central School District Board of Education.